everyone. Welcome to the Felicity, Optimist versus Cynic podcast with us, your hosts, Melissa and Fish. This is a Felicity rewatch podcast. We'll watch an episode each week and join you here to talk all about it. Just a quick reminder, the reminder we always give, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. Fish, is this a spoiler-free podcast?
Yes.
What?
No.
Oh, boy. We try to be clear, but it's not a spoiler-free podcast. You could potentially hear things that could come up later in the series, in this podcast. So just wanted you to know that up front. Anyway, I'm Melissa, and I'm here, you heard her, with my wonderful co-host, Fish. Fish, how are you doing today?
Well, I think it won't be a surprise for anyone who's listened to any number of these podcasts that I'm a little sleepy. I mean, that generally tends to be how I am when we get a little downtime to do our podcasts. It's like it's the weekend and I'm catching up on sleep. So I'm a little sleepy, but by the time we get into it, I'll get all hot and bothered about something and it'll just pick me right up.
Oh my God. Well, I found that when you are more tired, it directly correlates to us doing better podcasts. So I don't know what that means for you. I don't wish you to be sleepy every time we do this, but I think it produces some generally pretty good content.
I think my brain doesn't function well enough to have a good filter.
That makes sense. And we're going to need that for this episode. We are talking today about season 2, episode 2, The List. This one originally aired October 3rd, 1999. Directed by Barnett Kellman. Don't think we've come across that name yet. And written by Jennifer Levin. We have come across that name quite a lot. And this one, the synopsis is Felicity begins to question her values when one of her advisees seems to have better luck using tips from an article in a woman's magazine. Meanwhile, Julie lightens up in a major way when she holds a blowout at Sean's. Okay.
Lightens up?
That's what they said. Huh? I don't know. I had the same reaction to that. Boy, oh boy, TV Guide / whoever else wrote this. Okay, that's what they said. Fish, I might have taken a record number of notes for myself here. So I bless our souls for what's about to happen in terms of length of podcast. Although, to be fair, a lot of my notes this time are quotes from the episode, and that doesn't always happen, but I took a lot of like snapshots of what was being said, more so than I usually do. And I'm interested to see how that evolves into our discussion of this. So I don't know, where did you want to start with it?
Yeah, there were a lot of good lines in this episode. A lot of good lines, a lot of good monologues. There were also some very confusing parts for me. So I'll be very interested to get your take on those. Maybe we can start with, basically almost everything in this is about Felicity and Ben. And it's just, you get little bits and pieces of it from different people.
Elena and Noel stuff is a bucket of its own too. And Julie and Sean have their own little hijinks that are happening, but Ben and Felicity is certainly a major theme happening in this episode.
So when I think about, like, if we just start at the opening, I love just the comparison between the tape and the box. And poor naive Felicity has, again, not learned at all. Because
Megan is just going to thwart her at every turn.
She should know by now. Like, she knows someone has listened to this tape. And of course she assumes it's Megan because Megan seems to know all her stuff and throw it out there. But I don't see Megan caring enough.
Let's circle back to this in a second. Let's actually start where this opens, just for the sake of saying it. So there's an advisee that's walking into Felicity and Megan's room with Megan, having a
Oh,
conversation that Megan
yeah.
obviously does not want to have. And this is he's spiky hair guy. I don't think he's gotten named yet, but he's like platinum blonde spiky hair guy who's going to be a hypochondriac through basically the entire season.
Oh,
And
fun.
he comes in and he's like, I think I've got rickets. No, maybe it's scurvy. It's so subtle. Like you could easily miss this. But he says that, and then Megan's like, get away from me, you freak.
Yep.
That, my friends, is Megan's advising style.
Which, they balance each other because on the one hand, Felicity can actually help if there's a serious issue. And on the other, Megan can tell you, hey, this is real life. You eat your hair, people gonna make fun of you.
Yeah. She is, she, well, I don't know if you would classify her advising style as tough love. It's tough.
Nope.
Tough
It's called
hate.
life.
Yeah.
It's just what
Deal
happens,
with it, folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody who ever comes to her for advice just gets some version of deal with it, you fool, and they're
Yep.
sent away. And this is what's happening to this guy. And then Megan is totally ready to have this conversation with Felicity. She's primed and ready to be open, and no, she's not. She's
No.
not.
This is not the same level of empathy that we saw when she tried to sit down on a chair for like 10 seconds and listen. I don't know
Yeah.
that she got much further this time. She's just like, I don't care about your tape. And Felicity's like, well, I mean, it's like if I looked in your box. And whew, you do not want to say that to Megan.
Oh.
She's like, oh, you looked in my box? You think your tape is like my box? Oh, no, okay. You play your stupid tape. We'll look in my box and we'll see. We'll just see. And I
Which is
kind of,
more intense, she says. We'll see which is more intense. It's a gauntlet
yes.
that's been thrown down.
And and of course she's like, you go first
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to Felicity. And Felicity, of course, goes, okay. And then plays a very embarrassing thing that she and personal thing that she said.
So Sally.
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
will not respond because she's either super happy on an island with Emmett or dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's worth resetting this. I mean, we basically heard this portion of the tape three times now because we
Yeah.
we heard
And
her
every
say
time
it.
has been different.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, so we heard the first time when she was actually leaving it for Sally, and then we
Hmm.
heard it at the tail end of the last episode, which I guess they're banking on everybody kind of remembering that, where Ben is listening to the tape, which is why when Felicity picks up the tape again and presses play, it's not in the right place because Ben must have heard that line about maybe it's love and just shut down completely. He blew a gasket. He melted. I know. And the tape stopped right there. But that's not where I guess Felicity had probably recorded more after that. And so she's like, "Why is the tape in this place?" And so when she plays it again for Megan, this is now the third time we've heard it. But interesting. That's different.
Yeah. And it's also not in the right place that Ben had left it.
Mm-hmm.
I think just for the audience to hear again what he heard. But it's like there's one line that's the same, and then another line that was before that line that's the same, but the last line always seems to be changing
Oh
because
boy.
the first time it had Elena in it, and the next time it had something else. I mean, it's just a little change, but it's just funny to go back
Hmm.
and because I'm looking at the scripts afterwards. I'm like, oh, that's not the same. How did this tape change so many times?
Mm. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, but now Felicity has played this bit for Megan where she's like, I don't know about what's happening with Ben, but maybe it's love. And Megan's reaction was typical Megan.
Yeah. I
That was
mean,
lame.
that was lame.
Hmm.
And she's not going to share what's in her box. She was never
Yeah.
going to share that.
Yeah.
Please.
I don't think so, she said in a very coy way. And Felicity's just like, I should have known. Yes, of course, this is how this is going to end. How many times do I need to do something like this? Oh,
And how many
um,
times do I need to say, she doesn't learn? She
she
is not
doesn't.
good at learning.
She doesn't learn
How was
anything. She's
she?
still leaving tapes for Sally, by the way. And my
Yeah.
gosh, Sally, check back in. This is like the most desperate tape. Goodness. But yeah, she then goes into leaving another tape for Sally where she's like, hey, things are good. Things are
Yeah.
peachy keen. Things are wonderful. Things are good with Ben. Things are good with the advisees. The tone's going to shift a little bit by the end of the episode when she leaves the rest of that tape.
Yeah. It's it's a device. We know how Melissa feels.
Yeah.
Um, but after this is played out, we then have to have a co-RA meeting
Mm-hmm.
in which I am loving Megan's outfit. Just generally, I just I'm loving how everyone is dressing. I'm loving like Elena's hair is amazing. Just I'm loving the lightness, like all the stuff. I love all the stuff.
Yeah, it still feels kind of summery. I mean, Megan is her own vibe, but
Yeah.
it feels
But
lighter. Yeah.
she's still, I mean, she's got a lot more color than she used to. I mean, that pink dress that she was wearing
Oh. I don't know. I don't remember the pink dress. I'm just gonna
in
make a
this
noise like I remember.
episode,
Yeah.
she had like this pink dress that looked like it almost looked like a little flappery, like it had maybe beading on it or something. It was
Megan was wearing this?
Megan was wearing
Oh my
in this episode.
gosh. Guys, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is just I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get this fixed.
she's having a lot more color in what she's wearing. It's not as much black. And so anyway, well,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to say about the meeting.
Well, I
I
mean,
mean, Megan makes fun of people,
yeah, Megan makes fun
and
of people. I think it's funny. This is their second meeting in 2 episodes with these same advisees. And on the one hand, it's, you know, it moves the plot forward in this episode because we're going to meet Gretchen through this. We're going to see a little bit more of Berkey shenanigans. We're we're getting some important information that helps move this episode's plot forward, but also I think it serves on another level to be like, these guys are having way too many meetings. And it's
well, I mean,
probably Felicity that's doing it, and Megan probably hates this, and maybe everybody else in the room too. So it's I think maybe part of this is like, hey, maybe we need to chill out with the meetings.
well, it's also been 2 meetings in the first week of school.
Uh-huh.
So I feel like if there was any time that it justifies having 2 meetings, it's like early.
I don't know if we had any full, if I think about my
Oh
freshman
no,
year,
we
I don't,
never had meetings with the RA.
yeah, we never had meetings with the RA.
Nope.
I think that my RA might have actually, did we call them RCs, resident counselors?
I think so. Because they actually
So,
had zero authority, like
yeah,
none.
I think that he might have like come around and introduced himself to people individually, and then you could find him anytime you wanted in his room, and people did, and people hung
I
out
think
with
that's
him for fun, and
about right.
people like chatted with him, but he never, we also didn't really have a great space to assemble everybody.
We had this like kitchen area. It was like everyone could sit. It was like a big room, And then you go over to the other part, and there was like a refrigerator. Like on the floor below us, there was an actual kitchen.
Mm.
But like on every floor, there was this sort of big room that we could all get together in. We didn't, but we could have.
Hmm. We had a lounge and we had a kitchen, but neither of them were big enough to fit all the people that were advisees for any given RA. Um, so
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I was in like an old building, so
yeah,
maybe it was just leftover from days when they didn't have to be so conservative in this amount of space they give people.
yeah. Well, okay, so they're having another meeting, and like you said, it's mostly serves for Megan to make fun of people. Berkey's gonna make an important comment. Just so you guys know, I'm laughing on the outside but crying on the inside. Just wanted you to be aware. I don't know if that plays for comedy as much now,
I don't
but
know that it did then either.
yeah, but he's just a guy who really wants Felicity's attention here.
Yep.
And so he's going to say something. And then at the word crying, Gretchen, who we've never met, gets up, runs out of the room. I can't do this anymore. She like drops things all over the floor. I wonder if that was scripted. She's just awkward and gangly. She just
Cheers.
runs out
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah. Oh, poor Gretchen. Gretchen thinks that she is losing her boyfriend, Ian, who we never see, but sounds like a real dick. So she has found some magazine, which I can't remember what the exact title is. It's something like Girl on Girl. But it's
Oh,
basically Cosmo,
okay.
right? It's Cosmo. Let's all admit, we all read those quizzes. We read the 10 steps on, is he right for you? Like, is he having distance? Like,
Mm-hmm.
here's how you give him like 100 different types of blowjobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was not appropriate, but we all read it. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm talking about when I was like 14. I don't know why she's still reading it in college, but all right. So she's got this list, and this list is not, in fact, what I thought it might be, which is Felicity writing down a pro con list about dating Ben.
Yeah, that was your guess at the end of the last episode, and I was promptly like, "You're wrong."
But
They didn't really
you
say
didn't
that.
tell me that.
Yeah, I didn't
You
really
wouldn't
say
tell
that, but
me.
I thought it, and then here we are.
Now you can say
Yeah,
it
you were
because
wrong. Yeah, it's
I was in
fun.
fact incorrect.
It's fun to see what you think
Yeah.
is coming, and then
And then say I'm wrong.
sometimes it's just not even close. This is one of those times. Like, who knew they'd be able to structure an entire episode around an article called 10 Steps to Winning Him Back?
Yep. And that I put a question mark next to it the first time she said it. I was like, is this the list? And then Felicity says it, these types of lists. I was like, okay, this is the list.
Yeah. And then they were like, thing number one. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, this is a list.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite part of the list was putting blush on your nipples.
Yeah.
It does not seem like it would make any difference. Is it just me?
Yeah. I
I guess,
can't imagine why that would be helpful.
yeah, I'm like, maybe I just haven't seen enough, but I feel like I've seen a lot given that, like, played water polo, like, we did shower together. Like, I've never seen anyone with pale enough nipples that blush would help.
Yeah. Why? I mean, and then notably, that is the part what I think that was like number 3 on the list. And Felicity's like, just forget this list, Gretchen.
Yeah.
She gets to number 3. She's like, I don't honestly know how this is going to serve you. You know, it's an interesting conversation that Felicity does not yet realize is about to be about her own situation. Although
Well,
maybe
we
she's
all
got a sense of
realize
it. But, she's basically saying to Gretchen, like, honestly, Gretchen, you don't need this list. If it were me, I wouldn't be in a relationship where you can't be myself. And
Liar.
Gretchen's
Hypocrite.
like, do you have a boyfriend? There were a lot of ways to read that line, but in the way that actress played it, it was kind of like, huh, interesting. Have you, by any chance, mated something like this? Do you have relationship experience? It was just sort of judgy, but it's fine. She was trying to figure out if Felicity's advice was worth listening to.
And I didn't read it that way. I read it more as a she's a bit desperate and she's trying to get advice and she's just kind of like, do you have a boyfriend? Like, tell me what to do.
Okay,
Um,
that's a more optimistic way to look at it. Look at us, we're reversing our roles.
well, it's just the way I interpreted it. But either way, she's not going to listen.
She's going to listen for about 2 hours, she says
Yeah,
later. But
couple hours.
this conversation is important because Felicity is putting out, she's articulating what she would want her own stance to be, which will help ground her later. It'll be one of the things that will resonate for her, like, oh, I said these words. Um, but in this moment, she doesn't realize that there's so much gravity to it. She's just saying it. And then on the back of that, Gretchen's now going to describe her relationship with Ian. And she's like, he was so sweet in the beginning. He was leaving me little notes. And she's describing a nice relationship. And then she says, and then one day he got a funny look on his face. And I never got another love note again. And how's that? That's my story. Now I'm doing the blush on the nipples.
Yep.
And here we go. So she's kind of she arms Felicity with this expression, funny look. That's really going to keep coming up for Felicity.
Yeah, a little bit, more of that coincidence stuff going on, but it's all right. It's, I guess, artistic foreshadowing, in case we didn't get it. But,
Mm-hmm.
The next scene,
I
right?
just do want to mention, though, before this conversation with Gretchen actually happens, when Gretchen is running out of the meeting and Felicity goes after her to have a conversation with her, Megan's like, don't give her attention. That's exactly what she wants. And Felicity is like, Megan, that's our job.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Mhm.
So, we're really getting a pretty good sense of their advising styles and which advisees would go to who for what.
Yeah, that would be none would go to Megan. Well,
Yeah.
unless you wanted a ferret.
Yeah. Yeah. They
Yeah.
have some strange things happening
Eh.
right out of the gate. That's okay though.
I mean, so did Noel. Let's admit.
That's true. Yeah. It's some strange
Yeah.
stuff too. Uh,
Yeah. What you gonna do?
well, so that's Gretchen. That's how we meet her. That
Well,
conversation's over. Felicity's primed to look for funny looks.
well, and Felicity says, I don't know if I have a boyfriend. It's early days. She's kind of backed off from the intensity earlier or last episode.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, she is being very free with the word love. She is not saying that she is in love with Ben or she loves Ben, but at Dean and DeLuca, after he's being weird and juggling muffins and such, and he's dropped them all over the floor, Felicity is just like looking up at him, going, I love this time I'm spending with you.
I love being with you.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
Ben is literally like beginning to have a panic attack.
Really gulp.
I mean, I would say the theme of this episode is Ben and Noel panicking.
Yeah. And even, that bit where he's juggling the muffins, I I feel like he's been permanently altered by these conversations he's had with Sean, because have we seen him be the way he is? Even before Felicity says like the I love being with you and all that, him doing that, the way he is with her at Dean and DeLuca, where like they're packing up stuff, they're thinking about what they're going to get for Bryant Park, they're having a flippant conversation about muffins and he starts juggling them. Has he done stuff like that before? He seemed very, I don't know what the word I want is, like goofy.
That's exactly what I would think. But I feel like he does that. Like he gets these goofy grins on his face a lot.
Okay.
Like when, he's talking to different girls and his body movement changes a bit and he does get kind of goofy. We haven't seen him juggle muffins as far as I remember.
Yeah, I think like
But the
in terms of being
goofiness,
physical with it, yeah, he'll get a grin on his face, but I also think of him as a little bit of a serious guy.
I don't know, when he's with girls, he's got the goofy grin and the bashful smile and the like puts his head down, and I feel like his whole physicality kind of changes into like bashful, goofy guy.
Okay. So
So I feel like
maybe
it's
this
not so
lines
much
up.
out of character. Yeah, I don't feel like it's out of character, but I do feel like more and more we're seeing panic mode, which is relatively new.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like it was out of character, but I feel like it was Ben in like a distract. How can I distract her? Like, how can I keep it light? How can I force the situation to be light? I don't know if he was thinking about it on that level, but it felt like he was desperate to keep it fun in a way that felt an exaggerated version of him, but not a different him. It felt like he's very much thinking about how Sean's saying, "This is intense. Isn't it intense? Don't you not want something this intense?" And so now he's like, "I don't. How do I make it not intense? I'll juggle muffins." So I don't know. I didn't feel it was out of character, but I felt it was like he's he doesn't have good use of himself right now.
I mean, he and Felicity are going back and forth this whole episode, and this is part of the stuff that confuses me. I do think there are some inconsistencies. There's a lot of like, now I'm going to be truthful, and now I'm not. And I think we'll get into it as we get a little deeper.
Yeah. And we will get deeper quickly, right? Because right out of this conversation, Felicity says, "I love being with you." Ben gives a possible funny look.
Yep.
Felicity's like, "Was that a funny look? That might have been a funny look."
Might have been.
Had the classic signs of a funny look.
But I'm going to ignore it. I'm going to pretend everything's fine. That's how I'm going to deal with it.
Yeah, she's like, "I'm trying to be the easy breezy version of me. So
Yeah, the
I'm just
problem
gonna let
is
this one
there
go."
isn't an easy breezy version of you.
There isn't. But this is her way of trying to break that repetitive thought in her head around like, was it a funny look? No, I'm the lighter version of me. I don't need this. Like, it's still in there. It's still in there. And then we go straight to a conversation with Sean and Ben, where Ben has obviously just talked about this interaction that he had, and Sean is like, "You're in trouble."
Well, and he's told Sean about the tape,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we can circle back to this later, but I mean, Felicity got dragged when she rewrote Ben's paper.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's listening to her tape, which is the
Yeah.
equivalent of like reading her journal.
I have a lot to say about this, and I think we're going to be on par with each other.
Yeah, not okay.
I didn't like
And
that whole conversation he had with her. Uh,
but not only did he listen to it, he then told Sean about it.
and then he gaslights Felicity.
Yeah, I
There's a
mean the
lot of
whole
really nasty
thing.
stuff around this.
Yeah, not loving it.
Yeah,
But again, I don't know what to tell you. I agree with Sean. Yes, he's bringing it back to business, and yes, it's uh, a bit misogynist the way he puts it. But he's like, look, she's talking to her girlfriend about this, otherwise known as her potentially dead French tutor.
yeah.
Um,
Gosh, Sally, where are you?
Sally, can you hear me? Um, no, no, she
No, she
can't.
can't.
Um, so he's like, look, it's like a colleague and a customer. right? You talk to your colleagues, you can say whatever. She's talking to her buddy. She's telling the truth. You, my friend, are getting the shiny rainbow, everything is fun version of this because she's trying to not scare you away.
Mm-hmm.
And here I am telling you, you should be scared and run away.
Yeah. And, he's going to address this monkey in the room.
Of course, because, you don't want monkeys in the room. They jump
Yeah.
on the bed. Um, so many monkeys jumping on the bed.
Yeah. I mean, Ben's like, it's an elephant. It's an elephant in the room, man. He's like, monkeys aren't normal either in a room. So he gives us that moment of lightness, but then he goes, I mean, this is like maybe the most serious and I don't know. I think of Sean as an earnest character always. And sometimes the thing he's earnest about is so stupid and frivolous that you're like, it's like a weird invention. And you're like, oh, it's Sean being serious about something silly again.
Yep.
In this situation, he's being very earnest, but he's talking about something that has weight to it. And, it impacts people's lives. And so I don't know that this is a different Sean. I think this is the same Sean. It's just a more serious topic.
Well, the thing is, it's not more serious to him, right? It's just more serious
to us.
To us. Right. So
yeah.
I agree. I feel like he is earnest and he likes to bring things back to business analogies, but
because even in this situation, Ben's still like, yeah, maybe all this isn't a big deal. Maybe I shouldn't make a big deal out of it. And Sean's like, well, then why did you tell me?
Right. Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm obviously the guy who's serious about this.
Yeah. Like I'm the guy who's been telling you over and over again to break up / don't be with her. Like, why would you have told me if you didn't want confirmation?
Yeah, it's like, what brand of advice you were going to get when you came to me. So this is what you're getting. And he's just sort of bringing that back to him. But I mean, hopefully you can, I mean, in this episode, between this episode and the last episode, it's like Sean is aggressively on a mission to make Ben see the light about this. And Ben would not have gotten here so quickly. If not for Sean being like singularly focused on getting through to Ben that he is not ready for this relationship.
And I think he's right in doing that because I feel like Ben and Felicity didn't get nearly as hurt as they could have, at least what I'm guessing is the first time. Like it was like a little dip into the pool of this is what it might be like dating. But ultimately, Ben's not ready. He's just not. He's just not.
Fair enough. And I'd be interested to hear from listeners on this too, what your thoughts are on it. We have maybe like one comment about this, but I would be interested to get more thoughts about what people think about the way this all came apart, and Sean's role in it and all that. But he's definitely expediting. I mean, when you think about it, 2 episodes ago, like we had this cliffhanger, there was hope, there was, ooh, Ben or Noel, and Ben was all giddy and excited and pursuing Felicity. How did it get here in 2 episodes? The answer is Sean. But I mean, would it have gotten here anyway? Maybe would have gotten here in 2 episodes. I think they needed something to really push it.
I mean, it was my prediction that they would come back and still not be together.
And they really didn't get to be, right? I mean, he was away in Mexico for the whole summer. I blasphemed and said it, sorry. And then, so we didn't get to see what they worked out between them over the summer because they didn't. They kicked that can down the road to when we'd be able to see that on screen. And, they bring them back to school and they're thinking about getting together. They're just not really there. It like, did they or didn't they? It's hard to say. It was a real.
They didn't.
Yeah, it was a real dipping the toe in the water, um, and then blam, kablooey.
Yeah.
That's how that
And it'll
is.
be interesting to see if my other part of my prediction comes true, which is that they're not going to be together, and then Noel's want to get is going to want to get back with her because poor Noel, poor Noel,
Well,
just
there's a look that he gives in this episode later that just
yeah,
breaks your heart into a billion, gazillion, trillion pieces.
right,
If that were a
exactly.
number, that's how many pieces Noel's heart is in later in this episode. Do you want to keep going with Ben and Felicity stuff, or do you want to keep going chronologically? Because the next thing that happens is an Elena and Noel scene.
I feel like maybe chronologically,
Yeah.
'cause
I think a
it's
lot of this stuff ends up like all these forces meet at the party.
yeah,
So
exactly.
makes sense. So we're going to get Elena and Noel our first look at that. And honestly, this is probably going to be the, do we want to say the funniest part of the episode?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they're definitely funny parts throughout the episode, but without Javier there,
This
someone
is
has
like
to
the
pick it up.
lighter plot line, I would say. Um,
Yeah. Oh, poor Noel.
how you feel about the plot line is I don't know, but Elena and Noel, we open up. They're having a drink. They're at the bar. They're comparing. We interrupt the middle of our conversation they're having, comparing notes on how many people they've slept with,
Yep.
and Elena seems to be driving this conversation. You get the sense Noel wishes it weren't happening.
Yep.
Elena obviously has a lot more experience, and she's just saying, is it more or less than 10? And Noel looks bashful, and she's like, it's like you're a virgin.
Well, okay. So here's
Oh,
my thing.
yeah.
He was in a 2-year relationship, and she's asking number of people. And to me, I don't know how many other people watch Will and Grace, the original, but at one point, Deborah Messing and the guy she's dating at the time, who is Woody Harrelson, have this conversation. It's like, how many people have you slept with? And her number, I don't remember what it was. It was probably like, I don't know, in the teens or 20s. And his number is like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And but he had been married for a while. And then the question between them becomes, well, but how many times have you had sex? And she's like trying to figure hers out. And hers is like, I don't know, 30 or 50. And his is like 400 and something, or like 2000 something.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of, I feel like the same thing here, where it's like if you have a long term relationship, like number of people doesn't really matter as much. But
Well,
I
does
also
any
get
of it
he's not
matter
hitting on
though? I feel
people.
like this conversation comes up, right? Especially, I don't know, in college, I feel like with my teammates, it was like who has or hasn't had sex. And you'd raise your hand if you had, and you wouldn't. And like each year, we would be like, we would see at the start of the year, like, oh, what just out of curiosity's sake, like, where are we with this as a team?
Yeah,
And
I will fully admit we never did that.
I mean, it was just a thing we did. It was almost like a, I don't know, not like one of the official traditions, but it was something we always did. But
Hmm.
we would only do it at the beginning of the year. Um, I have to say, of the people that I knew enough to know the answer to how many people they had slept with in college, only one person would have said over 10.
Yeah, it does make Elena seem a little slutty.
You
I'm
know,
not
it's
allowed to
tough,
say
right?
that
Because
anymore,
I mean,
right?
no, it's tough because I don't I absolutely imagine there could be people who have had more than 10 partners in college. Absolutely.
In
Like
high
go
school.
with God. Go do what you're going to do. Like
No, but
whatever's
this is in
right.
high school because we didn't see her. Was she sleeping with
She
Blair?
slept with Blair.
Okay, so
Hmm.
like over 9
And she
people.
slept with McGrath. despite the fact that we want to strike that from the record altogether.
Right. I had finally put that out of my
Yeah, so
mind.
I'm just saying at least two
Thanks
of
for
them
that.
happened in college.
And we don't know how far above 10 she is because 10 is adorable, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
10's so cute.
assuming,
It's tough, right? I mean, like, I'm not going to pass judgment on Elena, but I think setting the bar at 10 in college does not line up with what I saw happening among the people I knew in college. Like, yeah, there might have been people who were above 10. Absolutely. But when I look at the people that I knew, I would say almost all of them were below 5,
yeah.
maybe below 3, you know? So it's like, this is a really interesting number to throw out. And I feel like this might be the writers not really, I don't
In
know.
sync with. Well, I mean, the thing is, the 80s were different from the 90s, were different from, today,
It's true.
right? Because 70s, right, was all like free love, and then 80s was a lot of cocaine and love, but then there was AIDS, right? And everyone
Mm-hmm.
got super scared. So by like the late 90s, I feel like people were starting to be a little bit more conservative,
Mm-hmm.
just because it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
So, it might have been an older writing room.
Could have
And,
been.
that's just, but
And
the
it's
point
almost
is,
impossible for me to, like, my sample size here is so small, and yours is probably also fairly small. It's the people that we know. So this is not like an official study. We haven't been like looking at surveys to see who answered what here. But I think to say that if you've had sex with fewer than 10 people, you're still like a virgin is not an accurate.
especially not if you've been having sex with one of them for 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, let up
But
on Noel. Like,
yeah,
he
I
doesn't
mean,
need to feel bad about this. He's had the experience that he's had.
but
And
it's also Elena,
yeah,
right? So, like, I do feel like she's trying to be nicer to him, but she's also still gonna be a bit herself, which
yeah,
is, she's trying to be nice, but then she's like, go do it. Go ask, go ask her out. And, you know, she's making fun of him and she's like, go do it. And he is so nervous and like awkward. And I guess I mean, my guess is his number is somewhere around like 2.
we
Like
know
he's
he had
got the
sex with
2 year,
Beth. We
yeah, Beth.
the one
And
time maybe we know he's had sex with Hannah.
yeah, I think his number is 2. So, like, the fact that he's not great at approaching women is what they're really working on. And he's not great at approaching women because he went to go get her number and he came back with a straw.
Mm-hmm. Which is hysterical because he has no drink and he
He has
declines the
no,
drink.
no
So the
drink.
waitress comes back and she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to drink with your straw?" He's like, "Nope, all good. Nothing to see here." And Elena
But
just like face palms.
no, Elena's supportive in that moment. She's like, you can have my Coke here.
Yeah,
She
like,
was
let's make some
nice.
use of the straw, shall we? Um, like,
And
I see what we're working with. This is the news and it's not good.
yeah, so
Oh,
Noel says a couple things here where, so first of all, we understand a bit more about the history of Beth, right? She was drunk, he was desperate. Doesn't count. So his number's back to 1. But he
wow.
then makes this big deal about how he's lost his moves. I'm like, what moves? We have no evidence that there were ever any moves.
His stay in New York or Parish moves.
Yeah,
No,
which did not work.
it did not
So,
work. The but
at
classically
least
buy the
long term.
Estonian chocolate for girl
Yeah, yeah.
moves. Yeah.
No, his like special way of eating sausages, which I think is just fine, isn't
Mhm.
that, it's not a move.
Yeah. It's I'm kind of I feel bad for Noel in this episode. I feel
Yeah,
bad for him top to bottom. I mean,
it's not. It's not. his best.
It's yeah, but it's also, you know, he's he's also doing nothing wrong. Like I don't know. Like
Well, he was a bit of a dick in the last episode.
yeah, but we take Julie and Noel out of that context in this episode, right? So we needed to set up the tension with Felicity and Ben that Julie and Noel have in the last episode, and we'll deal with that again. But in this episode, they give us a bit of a reprieve from that, and they it's like they give everybody a little bit of a breather. Elena has these conversations with Noel. Julie and Sean are doing the things they're doing, and it gives us a chance to um, if anybody was feeling like, oh, Julie and Noel are being so hard on them or they're being so mean or whatever, they're grounding us back in the fact that these are people who are cool, like they're the same people that we knew. There are things we still appreciate about them. And we're going to have tension again, but they're reminding us of like there's value to these characters that we knew from last year. They're just hurting.
Yeah,
And
I can see that. I don't know that I would use the word cool for Noel, but
well, yeah.
sure.
I mean, I think for Noel, where I feel bad for him in this episode is like, um, he
He's
doesn't
thoroughly
need to have
rejected.
moves, like
No, he
he's sort
does.
of like, I don't know. I guess he being hard on himself is not going to help him have confidence.
That's
And
true.
I think that the way that Elena is approaching him is how Elena would approach him, but it's also making his insecurity heighten. And it's going to be hard to be confident from that place. So, I don't think in a perfect world, his wing person here
Yeah.
would be somebody who's like his hype person, pumping him up, giving him tips, and also letting him know you're awesome. But that's not really how Elena's approaching it. Elena's giving him tips and is like, "You're a baby," and he's like,
Well,
"Do I need to be
I don't
like
know.
that?"
I mean,
No.
she does have her back and forth, but I also think she's not a terrible wing woman because, she goes with the tough love approach. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Noel responds to that. She's just like, you're going to the party, you're going to get a number. And he's like, okay. And you know what? He gets a number.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it worked.
Sort of. Yeah. I We'll come back to that when we get to the party, right? If we're going to go chronological, we've set it up where they just have this initial conversation in the bar. He's spotted the waitress. He wants to get her number or her name, but he doesn't get that far. He just asks for the straw. And Elena knows we've got some work to do. And then we cut to
So,
Julie and
yep,
Sean.
yep. And I don't quite take back what I
I
said
was
last
wondering.
episode, but I feel like it is different this episode. I feel like Julie was flirting last episode.
Okay.
I do not feel like she is flirting now.
I held my tongue
Sean,
hard last episode. I was very
yeah,
curious how this one was going to land for you, specifically with those two characters. So, talk to me about what you
yeah.
saw in this one.
This one, she's friends and he's more.
Mm-hmm.
She's dating other people. She's, you know, asking him if she can have a party and like appealing to his entrepreneurial spirit. And
Like we can charge cover. He's like, oh,
yeah. And he is being really sweet to her, right? You know, he is saying, I'll split it with you 50-50, and he's letting, she expressed interest in his entrepreneurial whatever.
mm-hmm.
And he's responding to that by like being sweet and just, kind of on multiple occasions trying to ask her out. And she's like, no, I'm busy. No, I have a date. Like, you're not the guy I'm into. And he's like, okay. Um, so,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not giving up, which is kind of sad.
So in this
But
conversation, she just gets him to agree, yeah, we'll have a party at the loft.
yeah,
And then Julie's like, great, now I have something to invite Tim to. Tim from
Right.
human sexuality class. And he's like, oh God, of all the
Glad I
classes,
could
of all the
help.
Tims.
Glad I could help you with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
I just wrote, he's more into her than she is to him.
and that, my friend, is what they need you to understand about that
Yeah.
relationship.
Yep. That
Um,
was made very clear.
and it was unfortunate that they gave you a different impression in the last episode because boy, this is going to feel this way for a little while.
Okay.
And
Fair
it's
enough.
painful. It's like it's I mean, think about how much Sean has brought Julie into his world. You know, he's giving her a place to stay. The way they put it, the way she put it in this episode, I couldn't tell if he's actually charging her rent or not. I would think he is, but she almost made it sound like he's not. But
Yeah, that was
he's
kind of my impression, even from the last episode,
yeah.
was I don't know if he's gonna charge her rent. I mean,
So
it
he's
feels a
given
little
her
sleazy.
shelter. He's like just trying to have these moments where it's like, oh, let's talk about the party as friends over dinner. Or like, it's just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, you know, he's just really brought her in and he's got no buffer now. Like,
She doesn't, I don't think she sees it
no.
right now. Maybe she will later, but I really don't think she's doing anything wrong with Sean. I still don't think it was a good idea for her to move in with Ben, but I don't think she's trying to lead him on. I think
Yeah.
she's just trying to
I think
be
she's oblivious.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that she sees them as friends.
Mhm.
And Sean is playing into it to a degree in like making it sound like they can do things with no commitment. It's like, oh, let's talk about this, over a meal, like the party, like the business side of it. And it's like, well, he's, he is not setting it up as if it were a date, but in his mind, that it would be.
Yeah.
So it's, boy. But I do like that they give us this Julie and Sean stuff here to remind us of who Julie is. It's been
Yeah,
a
that
few
she's a
episodes since we've
friendly,
seen like
a
you know,
non-bitter.
yeah, like she was so
Yeah.
hurt at the end of last season in the first episode of this one. It's been a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Um, and in fact, before things started going south with Ben, she was dealing with having been raped. So it's been a hot minute since we've seen Julie having fun.
Yeah. It's kind of
So
what she said. Like, this last year has not been great.
yeah. So
So,
they're giving us a
yep.
little bit of that here. Um, but then we're going to cut back to Felicity and Bennett, Dean, and DeLuca.
Mhm.
Felicity has finally gotten her pictures developed from the road trip because that's how we did it. You brought a bunch of
Yep.
film with you, and then you took pictures and you hoped for the best. You never really knew if any of the pictures you took of the most important thing that happened came out until the trip was over and you got the film developed.
Yep.
And then you figured out how it went.
Yeah.
Did you ever
On
have that
the other
experience where you
side,
like were looking at the roll and there was like a couple pictures that were just all black and it's like, well, those memories are gone.
I had whole rolls
Yeah.
that would get exposed, and it would just be like, I've now paid $20 to have a roll of nothing developed. Thanks,
Yeah.
camera.
And those memories are lost to me forever. This is what it looks like. Blackness.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I was never big on taking pictures anyway. I just sort of like to experience the moment a lot of the time. Um, but I did take some cool pictures because I saw some cool stuff. But I never took these types of pictures where it's just like I'm on a road trip with one other person, like let's take pictures of us having fun.
Hmm.
That was never something I did. I took pictures of wildlife or geological stuff, mountains or whatever. But I was never really into like the friend group photo. I mean, a lot of my friends took them and then gave them to me because I didn't have any.
Hmm.
Um, but I was never like, because, I'm sure people do this with their phones now, or actually they probably don't have to because you can just like share them with everybody. But we used to have one person stand and you'd give them like 12 cameras.
Hmm.
And then that one person had to take 12 pictures of the 12 people standing in front of them
Hmm.
together so that everyone had a picture.
And when you developed your
Oh,
film, you could also ask for doubles.
yes.
Um, so you didn't necessarily need to have everybody take them anyway.
But we did.
But you did. I mean, if you
Yep.
really wanted immediate gratification and knowing that you got a picture, you needed a Polaroid.
Yeah.
Those
And they were
were
fun because you got
adventure.
to like
Shake them.
shake them.
Shake
Shake them
them
like
like
a
a Polaroid
Polaroid
picture.
picture.
Yeah. Hey, we're
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 dating
dating
ourselves.
ourselves. But so is everybody who watches the
This year.
show. um, everything that just happened in the last 30 seconds was very scary. Oh boy. We're the same
Yeah.
person now.
Well, I think we always have been a
It
little
took
bit.
3 days of podcasting to get there, but we are officially the same human.
And Melissa looks a little panicked. This
Ah,
is something that she shares with Ben. He's continuing to look a little panicked as Felicity is trying to, put together a picnic basket. And
yeah.
this I don't get. Tell me how you feel about this. Like in this scene, Ben is the worst liar. It is so obvious he is lying.
Yeah.
And she looks at him and she's just like, "You're lying." Was he always a bad liar? I feel like he wouldn't be a bad liar.
I think he doesn't want to have a hard conversation. And then he also does. So he's not saying with his words, but he's saying with his size and the way he's delivering it in a way that he knows Felicity will probably pick up on it. So, like, she's really not doing anything in this scene to pressure him. She's like, "Hey, got the photos developed. There's some pretty cool ones." And she's packing up a bat, like, the picnic. And it's about as light and airy as this could be, you know, but he's coming into it with all of these thoughts and all of this, like, there's pressure here. Even if there isn't pressure from her in this scene, there's pressure for him because he thinks there's pressure generally. So he looks at these pictures and he gives, I just, in my notes, I wrote Ben sighs. His whole body shook with a big sigh the moment the pictures touch his hands. She's like,
Yeah.
that's awkward.
It was a little weird. I wrote down he looked panicked because I just see this buildup in him where he kind of freezes and like forgets how to breathe properly.
Yeah.
And I just feel like he is sweating. Like he is starting to sweat. Like you can't see it, but it's happening.
Yeah. So I mean, the giveaways are obviously there. Like, you don't sigh that hard and sweat that hard and not have the other person notice. And he knows that, right? But then she's like, is everything okay? He's like, yeah, fine. But he's even saying that in a way that belies the fact that it's not really fine. And she's Felicity, so she's gonna get to the bottom of it. And I think she's trying to sort of coax it out of him as gently as she can. Where it's like, well, it doesn't seem like that, like, and he's like, no, but it is. And she's like, you're not happy, are you?
Yeah, which I thought was a little too insightful for her. I don't
Uh,
believe that didn't ring true to me. Um,
I think
she could have said a lot of stuff, but that in particular, I don't buy as a line she would have said.
I do buy that as a line she would have said, especially because of the way she's been primed from her conversation with Gretchen. She's now looking for funny looks. She's looking for signs of a guy who's not into it the way that she is. And so
Yeah, maybe
it
it's just the
doesn't,
phrasing.
yeah.
I just feel like it didn't ring true for me. Like I could see her getting to the same point, but that phrase
Mm-hmm.
seemed weird coming out of her
Mm-hmm.
mouth for
Yeah.
me.
But it is also one of the more direct ways like, there's, you're not happy, are you? How many ways can you answer that evade, like that evade the point? There may have been other things she could have said where he could have been like, yeah, it's fine and continued that. But to be like, yes or no, are you happy? Um, and for him to be like, I'm not. And then he elaborates enough. He's like, I don't know if I want this right now.
Which is just the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she seems shocked, and they're going to keep going through this. But I still like that he's telling her the truth,
I
you
do
know?
too. And well, I mean, I like it. And I like the way they end the scene, which we've seen them do this style of shooting before to end a scene on many occasions, not usually from outside a building to inside through the window. But they go from we're in the room with Felicity and Ben. Felicity says, "You're not happy, are you?" And Ben's like, "No, like I don't know if I want this right now." Felicity falls silent, Ben falls silent, and then the camera shifts to being on the other side of the stockroom door where we can look through the window to see them.
Mhm.
And you've said in the past, when they've done stuff like that, it's like, yeah, this could be anybody anywhere. It's universal. And I guess from that moment, they go from having us be an intimate part of the scene with these two people to like there's distance between them, there's distance from us to them, and this could be happening anywhere and probably is. Um, People are having this conversation all over the world.
Yep, I agree. And so I was a little thrown off again just by that line from Felicity,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the rest of the scene rang true. But then we get this scene with Elena and Felicity, and again, love her hair, um, where Elena is being incredibly supportive and empathetic,
Mm-hmm.
which again, I don't buy. I feel like this is such a different character. It's such a different Elena, right? Like she usually does have something a little more hard edge, right? Either like I'm studying or like, she doesn't quite get how she's supposed to support somebody,
Mm-hmm.
or she's giving them tough love. But here, she's just purely supportive and empathetic. And I wasn't really buying that either.
I suppose this is the version of Elena that was trying to invite Felicity to get hot chocolate or ice cream to prevent her from seeing Noel and Hannah together.
Yeah, I mean, I can see her having done it that one time, but it also wasn't a conversation. It was action.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like because we don't have Julie, and Julie is usually the one who's supportive and empathetic,
Mm-hmm.
that they're now slotting Elena into that role for Felicity, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise she just wouldn't have anyone.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know, and maybe Elena's just going to be different this season, but it's striking me as a very different Elena. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine that the affair with McGrath changed her that much into like a completely different supportive empathetic person.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I'll just have to see as the season goes on.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves for you. I'm trying to think if um it didn't hit me as strange as it did for you. I didn't even really register it, and I'm not sure if that's because she softens. Um,
Yeah, like a lot.
I well, I mean, in the future, and I'm bringing that with me into this. I don't know. Um, I can think of a
So she does
particular
change.
character in her life that will probably cause a shift in Elena, but I don't know if it's this shift. So I don't know. We'll have to keep watching that and look for how Elena's dynamic with Felicity might change, or if they're just trying to like make her fill the role that Julie was filling last year.
Well, all right.
But I mean, I think it's does this scene move things forward? Not really. I think what we get out of it is, Felicity is upset about the fact that they're, I don't know if this is a breakup with Ben. They, were they together? Were they, I don't know. She doesn't know. So, but I think the main thing we get from this is Felicity's like, I kind of wish I knew why. Like, what
Yeah.
just happened? Um, because she's really missing some important information about this came out of nowhere for her. And
And it really shouldn't have, given how she saw Ben was with Julie.
hmm,
I mean, we'll get to that later, but like, I don't, I don't feel like this should have come out of nowhere.
it happened fast, though. It happened really, really fast. I think in another universe, there would have been like some amount of time of just like the blissful early days of figuring out what this relationship is before this might have happened, even if it was going to happen anyway. They missed the part where they got to like have it be just the start, you know? And and
There are some relationships though that are just never going to have that. And
yeah.
I think given how they spent the first year and just there was a lot of heaviness in Felicity's decision to follow him. And,
Hmm.
I just don't see this ever being light for her.
Hmm.
I can see being light for Ben because he had no idea. So maybe there would have been more time where it was light for Ben, but I don't feel
I
like
think
this
there
ever would
absolutely
have
would
been
have been more time. Like, I think this happened a lot faster than it might have because Sean was pushing so hard um,
on Ben.
on Ben. But Felicity doesn't know that that was happening.
But what I'm saying
Felicity
is
has no
this,
clue.
right, but I think this always would have been the issue, is it never would have been fun, like airy, flirty, like
Hmm.
we're just hanging out and I'm okay with that. Like I think it would have gotten here a lot sooner than I think you think so. Like Sean, I don't think is a huge motivating factor. I mean, Ben just stop like doesn't show up for something, or he just wants to keep it light, and Felicity's always very serious, and like she'll get mad at him, and she'll like freak out about something and he'll be like, this is too hard, and run away. Like I just feel like that happens, that Sean or no Sean, that would happen pretty quick.
Hmm. Fair enough. Well, nonetheless, the point of this conversation, I think, for us to see is Felicity's like, why? Why did this happen? Um, so we know she's thinking that question. She's wondering. And then we pretty much immediately cut to Ben and Sean because they want to remind us why it
Yeah.
happened. It's like, in case you were also sitting here thinking why, let's just reiterate. So Ben says to Sean, I didn't tell her about the tape.
And Sean's like, good job, buddy.
But then Ben's like, what if I made a mistake?
And Sean's like, no, stop it. Okay, maybe that was just me.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's like, nope, you didn't. But not. Ben had this conversation, things are broken off, and he is still wrestling with it. And From Felicity's standpoint, he was firm, but it's not so firm in Ben's head right now. He's like, I didn't tell her why this happened. I don't know if I should have done it.
Well, and he also said in Dean and DeLuca, I don't know if this is what I want right now.
Yeah, it was
It wasn't definitive. It was just like, I'm not sure I'm as into this as you are, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And that
You're
is going to
right.
be played with a lot through this episode.
You're right. He was, and I read that as, because we got the scene with him and Julie last year where he's like, "Oh, I don't know. Do you think we're sometimes like things are too heavy or too serious?" I can't remember what word it was. She's like, do you mean we had a hard year?" And like, so Julie is taking the way Ben is talking as he definitively wants to break up and doesn't want to use the words. And
And
I
that was
do agree
correct.
with that read. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure it's the same thing happening here. I think
Oh, I
he,
agree. I agree. I don't think he wants to break up with her. What he wants is her to be a different person than she is.
yeah. So he's the wishy-washiness of what he's saying doesn't play the same way, and I don't think it's meant to play the same way as it did with Julie. I think it, like you said, it's meant to be he actually isn't sure that this is the right thing. He wants what's probably a more unrealistic ask
Yeah.
of making her be casual about it.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
to me, it's coming from the same place because he wanted the relationship with Julie to be more casual too.
I think by the time they had that conversation, there was no way of making that relationship more casual, like because of the outside. Like it wasn't like Julie's being too serious. It's like Julie was raped. Julie met her birth mom. Julie thought the birth mom wasn't her birth mom, and then it turns out she is. And then she has a husband that's actually Julie's father and two kids who are now, it's like wow. And then Ben had the gambling
Yeah.
and the money troubles, and even if they wanted to make it a fun, flirty thing, that was not what the universe was giving them. So that was an
I don't,
impossible ask for
I
the
think this
relationship with
is,
Julie.
I think this is an impossible ask too.
Yeah, for a different reason
Felicity would
though.
have, for a different reason. It's just that Felicity is who she is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And that's just the way it is.
yeah, it's true. Well, so we're getting these little snippets of conversations that are going to kind of tie together as we keep moving forward. The next thing we're going to see is
The
Gretchen.
shoes. The shoes. I love this shot. It's because we see these what my family always called FMPs, fuck me pumps.
Okay.
So she's wearing these FMPs and they're these high black stiletto things that she does not know how to walk
She
in.
can't walk in them. Yeah.
Cannot walk in them at all. And I didn't know exactly who it was at first because I was like, the shoes look like something Megan would wear, but Megan would be able to walk in them.
Mm-hmm.
So who else could this be? And it did take them panning up for me to realize that it was Gretchen.
In her high voltage look.
Oh my
According
goodness.
to the list, she needed a high voltage look.
So 90s. High
And
voltage
this
look.
is it. And she went
Uh,
to the cafeteria dressed like that.
she did.
And a friend of
Yeah.
Ian's saw it and talked to
Mhm.
Ian. And now Ian's interested again. She's like, "It's working. The list is working, Felicity."
And then she hands the Girl on Girl magazine. I know that's not the name of it. I just can't remember what it's called.
Oh, I was like, that can't be the name they gave it. Okay.
It's like Girls something.
Okay.
Girls World.
Well, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, she hands it to her and says, there is a look on page 50 something that would be killer on you. And I just wonder if that was the dress.
Yeah, they never showed that to us. I don't know. Could have been the dress, or maybe it wasn't. And I think the main point here is Felicity now has the list in her possession. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got the outfit on page 50, whatever, but she's also got the whole list. And she'll be able to really sit and think about that.
Yep. And if there's anything that Felicity does, well, it's think.
Mhm. And so she can now be tempted. She shouldn't. That advice she gave to Gretchen, earlier in the episode. Yeah, you shouldn't have to change yourself. Like be who you are. And then now she's being given the gift of here's what change looks like.
Mhm.
Um,
She doesn't have to
and
do all of the list.
yeah,
She doesn't have to completely change. She can just do a couple of things.
yeah, she's got to do. So she's going to noodle on that for a little while, see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Just
And in the
think about it.
meantime, we're going
Yeah,
to
in the
see the adventures of
meantime,
Noel again.
Noel is just going to be thoroughly shut down. Completely, completely shut down.
He goes back to the bar to find the waitress with no intention to order food or drinks or straws without drinks. And he just goes and does he just ask for her name or does he say,
No,
I'm
no.
Noel?
Yeah, I think he says something like, "Hi, I'm Noel," or something.
And
And
she
she,
gives the biggest waving away that's ever happened. She's like, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no. And she's just like, her arms are spreading wide with the waving of the hands to get him out of the
yep,
room.
yeah, everything about it. No eye contact. Like, please remove yourself from my presence immediately.
Yeah, it's not good.
No.
And we're just going to cut then straight back to Noel recounting the tale to Elena and being like, she's like, what, did you get shut down? He's like, being shut down would have been a pleasure. I was
Yeah,
thrown
he's
out of
like,
the game entirely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he did not strike out. He wasn't even allowed into the game.
Yeah.
He
They were
got
just
turned
like, you
away
don't
at the
qualify.
turnstile.
Get this guy off the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh. And so Elena's
Elena's gonna
like, what
step
are we
up.
working with here? Show me your
Yeah.
technique.
She's gonna step up. She is gonna be a wingwoman. She's gonna say, hey, look, let me explain to you how this works. Because clearly, I mean, you're not doing this. Because she's like, here, just try it on me. Like, I'm gonna be some extremely beautiful, like pre that egg she sticks up there, Gwyneth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes up and says, "Hi, I'm Noel." And she's like, "Nope." It's like, "That's what the waitress did."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much exactly.
Yeah.
So Elena is now going to show him a technique that could work. She's like, women need staging. They need phases of a pickup.
Yeah. Got to feel comfortable.
Yeah, so she's going to experiment. She's going to show it on him. You
So
beat
how,
Gwyneth.
yes, and try to be blonde.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just want to say, Melissa, would this work on you? If a guy comes up to you and says, like, "Hey, I'm Noel," versus Elena's version, which is, "Hey, do you know where the bathroom is? Oh, by the way, my name is Noel."
I'm a bad
This
person
is
to ask. Neither of these things would work on me. My process is, hey, I've seen you every Wednesday for the last year at bowling. We've been having fun, right? I think we might be already dating, but if we're not, I'm whatever the name is. Like, I don't build trust with somebody in a matter of 5 minutes. And so if somebody's going to approach me like that, it's not going to yield a date.
so there's just no cold openings for
There's
you.
no cold openings for me for a
Okay.
relationship whatsoever.
Well, I mean, I can meet people, especially like friends of friends or something like that. But I feel that it is worse to immediately associate yourself with a bathroom
Okay.
when trying to pick up a woman. It's like,
Okay.
"Hey, I'm going to go take a dump. Want to go out?" Like,
It's like,
please
think
think
of
of
me
my,
when you think of the toilet.
yeah, like,
Okay.
please imagine that this hand I'm holding out to you was just holding my dick and I haven't washed it.
Okay.
Like, no,
I see your point.
Ew, don't do that.
Well,
So,
I don't know. I'm I am not a good person to ask on what would work in this situation because none of this would work on me in 5 minutes to yield an actual let's go out on a date. But
yeah. But it was just getting their name, getting their number. I mean, I've definitely given my number. I've definitely given fake numbers. But I've also given my number a couple of times. But like, I don't know. I mean, if this is what works for Elena, and every time a guy asks her where the bathroom is, she thinks she's getting hit on, it may explain how high her number is.
mhm. I mean, she's obviously giving advice because she thinks this is how it works. And it works this way for her. So I'm not going
Apparently.
to dispute that. I'd be curious among our listeners, like, hey, would this work for you? Do you think one strategy is better than another one? But I think we need outside opinion because I'm going to come up very, very short in this area. But yeah, I mean, staging, I don't know.
I mean, I agree that you need to start a conversation. That's what lines are for. That's what moves are for, but this was just not a good one,
Uh-huh.
right? But I do enjoy her just flipping back to like bossy Elena, where she's like, look, you can practice. He's like, I'm not going to that party. She's like, you are going to that party and you will get a girl.
Yeah.
I
I
was like,
mean,
yep, there she is. There's the Elena I love.
yeah. We'll circle back to my thoughts on that when we actually talk about the party itself, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what she does. She's like, we're doing this, whether you like it or
Yeah.
not. And I know you don't. We're
And
doing it
and
anyway.
we are going to, I think, come back to this idea of games and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to say at the start, for the record, I do think that Elena's right, that there does need to be some, like, there are moves, they exist. There are games, there are reasons people play them. So like we'll get there, but like I'm not 100% anti this approach to, especially at that age,
Mhm.
approaching a stranger
Yeah.
and
Okay.
making them feel comfortable.
Fair enough. All right. Well, meanwhile, talking about somebody who's not making somebody else comfortable. Berkey.
I love him. I love him so much.
Berkey interrupts Felicity at the worst possible moment. Felicity is looking through the pictures of the road trip pictures, now immediately post breakup, ruining the day, sad with her thoughts, needing to cry over her 4x6s or 5x7s, whatever size they were, by herself. And Berkey knocks on the door. Was this one where he just came out of he's about to go into the shower?
I think so.
Like, hey, you want to
You'd
shower
like
with
to know.
me?
Yeah. And she's like, I already showered. Like, well, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
And
He
she just freaking loses it.
yeah, he's
She loses it.
being persistent.
Perky.
Yes, he's being very persistent and just wants her to go out with him in some way. And yeah, we're gonna see Carrie Russell in her vein in a hot minute here. Carrie Russell has this great anger vein that comes out when she's angry. And when you see it, it means a lot. It's the Carrie Russell's angry vein. And yeah, it's just right in the middle of her forehead. It's like a V. And she goes into that mode right here. She's like, you know what? You're a pest. You're a gnat. He's like, a gnat with a G? It's like, yes, a gnat with a G. I can't handle you when you're like this. I can't handle you ever. Um, and then, she says it in a way where he's like, ooh, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
I like that too. And she's like, I can't with you anymore. And she just like turns back to her pictures. It's like, let me be miserable somewhere else. Okay. Like I was
And
looking
he's
for
like,
misery, but not this
sorry.
brand of it. So yeah.
And he just like backs out of the room. Sorry, but he'll be back.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, he must, his skin must be very thickened around like this cannot be the first time somebody's been like, go away. Like, and he just seems like it can't bring him down. And I think the only reason that could be is that this is like the 47th person he's done this with.
And it's probably worked at some point.
Well,
So he's just like, I'm going to keep going until it works.
maybe. Yeah. Or maybe he just has hope despite all odds. Who
He may
knows?
be the eternal optimist,
But
but he's enough to drive Felicity up the freaking wall.
yeah, she's been driven up the wall. So, but here's the thing: Felicity is looking at the pictures, and so is Ben.
I know, right?
In
Same
another
time.
place, another time,
No, same
somewhere
time.
out there, same time. Actually, that wasn't a good parallel, right? Because they were like brother and sister in Fievel, right? Well,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. So, okay, fine. It's a good song, just not really an
It's a good
appropriate
song.
reference.
I'm just gonna let you know I'm not cutting that.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay. So, but same time, another place, alternate universe. Ben also looking at the pictures.
Yes. And it's nice because when we finally get to see it, we don't quite see the one that Felicity's looking at, but you can kind of see it from behind that
Mhm.
it looks like it's a picture of Ben.
Mhm.
And then you see the one that he's looking at, and it's this like picture of Felicity looking right at him.
She looks
So it's a
gorgeous in that
nice little
picture.
parallel.
Yeah, she looks gorgeous all the time, but she looks great in that picture. Um, yeah, I wrote regretful in my notes. He's just looking at it. He's just feeling sad that I don't know. He's feeling the loss of the relationship,
He's,
maybe.
I feel like he's bouncing around, right? Because he doesn't know what to do. He really doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, and so now he's looking at I mean, he does like her. He only likes her, but he likes her. And he's just like, you know what? I need to go talk to her. So,
Well, in a
um,
twisted way, like Sean has been positioning this with him, like you are going to hurt her.
which is true.
So,
So
in
don't.
a weird, convoluted way, breaking up with her is a kindness.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so that I can appreciate why that would be a struggle for him because it's like, I don't want to break up with her. I like her. I want to be with her. We're having fun
Mhm.
together, but I'm going to hurt her. And I don't want to do that because I like her. So it's like a weird compliment in a twisted
Yeah,
way.
but I think the part we have to layer in, which comes back in the end, is why is he going to hurt her?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not ready for a relationship, because he's just, he generally, and we'll see it in this scene. But before we get into this scene, I'm looking at her new room, and I'm just loving so many things about this. Like, she has this beautiful lampshade. Her clothes are looking great. She's got these nice blinds. She's got wall art with like an easel. So maybe it's like her art.
Okay.
Um, she's just got this whole different aesthetic, and I'm just loving it.
Yeah.
It's so different from the previous year.
Cool.
So anyway, just
And
had
they
to say
had to do that, right? Because otherwise it's the same room, right? It's the same set. So, like, they need to make some sort of a distinction between, hey, am I watching a scene from season one or from season two when I'm watching this? And so
and if there
changing,
are candles that are nice and
mhm.
colorful and a mirror, that's season two. If there's ugly brown sweaters and an old chair from what I'm assuming is a thrift shop, it's season one.
Yeah, there you have it. That's
Mhm.
how you tell the difference.
Yep.
Yeah. So Ben's gonna show up at this room.
Yep. He knows where it is. He's been there before. So
Mm-hmm.
he's coming in and he wants to talk.
He does.
and she's just confused and he's confused, right?
Mhm.
And so this is what I'm talking about. He's like, it is what Sean was saying. Like, Felicity is marriage material. So when he's with her, he feels pressure.
Mhm.
Um, Now he does kind of put it on her, saying, I'm worried I won't live up to your expectations. And, I'm, it's just, I'm not the guy, right? Like, the long term talk about everything, like in love with you right now, like I'm not the guy. And like I personally am a firm believer in when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Mhm.
So this is him telling her, I'm not the guy, and I think he's right.
Mhm.
And I think he's right to tell her that. But then they get into this argument over the tape.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to
So
take
yeah, I
that.
mean, well, the way this conversation opens, also, he's not really sure where to start. She's like, "Can I ask a question?" And he's like, "Sure." She says, "Is it just me, or did we enjoy our time on the trip?" And he's like, "Yeah, we did." She's like, "Okay." So question number two, what happened? Because we've been at school for a day.
Yeah.
Like what happened here? And so that's when he goes into the general statements that he unfortunately follows up with the specifics. So, he says, I feel pressure of your expectations. She's like, expectations? What expectations have I articulated to you? And that's when he gets in trouble because if he could have just said, look, you're a serious person and I know that.
Mhm.
And I'm worried that I'm not, that we're looking for two different things from this relationship. That would have been
And
a version of this conversation when you're keeping things general.
yeah, and he did say that. It's just he then kept talking.
Yeah. And at which point she's like, I've never said that. And he's like, well, you did. She's like, I did what? He's like, on your tape. She's like, nah, huh? What now?
Yeah.
And she's like, wait a minute, you broke up with me because something I said on my tape.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, well, yeah.
Oh, no,
It's,
no,
and then
no.
he's like, it's a lot to think that you could be in love.
Yeah, but he gets super defensive
Yeah.
from a position that he should not be. Like, I get it. She's pissed, and so he's getting defensive. But, like, I mean, you're getting called
So,
out.
yeah. So this is where um, I'm glad we get to talk about this scene. And I'm glad the rest of this episode plays out the way that it does. Because this Felicity, from this point forward in this episode, to me, becomes a symbol of how I wish everybody would be confident enough to handle a situation like this. Um,
Hmm,
and
interesting.
like, so like there's more than one way you can look at this, right? But one way that I want to look at it is saying the way that Felicity handles everything that happens from this point forward in this episode is how I would want to be as a confident woman who's going to stand up for herself or who's going to not compromise herself completely out of existence. Um, and unfortunately, to get there, we have to show you the picture of like how cruddy this is. And so when I see this scene, from this point forward, Ben is gaslighting her. I don't like this. Like I hate it when people do this. I think it's a really bad sign in a relationship when somebody or in any dynamic between two people. I don't think that gaslighting is something that can lead to something healthy. So he says that listen to the tape. It's a lot to think that you could be in love with me. he just violated her.
Absolutely. I put that down. Violation.
Yeah, and she knows it. And she's like, "You did what?" Like you can see her being like, "You these are my private thoughts." Um and he is like, "Everything has to be such a huge deal with you." And it's like, "Dude, this is a big deal. Don't you
Mhm.
even with that." Like I felt very very protective of Felicity the moment he said those words. I was like, "You don't get to give her the you're crazy, this isn't a thing, stop being so crazy." Like that's basically what he's doing with her in the situation, and this is not at all uncommon to hear that people say things like this. And the thing is, she, of all the ways you could handle this, because a lot of times when somebody is gaslighting you in this way, you can be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not really." Like you can try to defend, you can try to justify, you can try to soften yourself so you're not coming off as crazy anymore. What she does though is she's like, "No, no, no. You picked up my tape, you listened to my thoughts. That is a big deal." And I was glad that she didn't let him get away with that in the conversation. Because at that point, he knows he's playing with fire and he wants out of the room.
Yeah.
And he, but you don't get to lazily say things like that and then like have Felicity believe she's done something wrong.
Yeah. I would say for this scene, I agree. I don't agree for the whole rest of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's doing a lot of things that are also leading him on, and she knows it. And so, but in this scene,
That's true. The red dress stuff, I don't think
yeah,
he's, yeah.
and the
This
stuff
scene
on
and
the
the final
roof.
scene.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so he gets defensive. He starts gaslighting her. She's not putting up with it, and he runs away
Mm-hmm.
because this to me I've seen as a pattern. He does not like emotional conflict.
Mm-hmm.
He can deal with, oh, like, you want to fight me? I'll fight you. Like, fine. He can deal with, like, getting beaten up on, like, a super clean street. But he doesn't like any kind of messy emotional conflict. He just runs away from it.
Yeah.
And it is a defense mechanism. And it shows that he is still immature and hasn't dealt with his shit, and is one reason that he's not ready to be with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that comes out very clearly in this scene. And, it could come across to Felicity as Felicity has done something wrong. And I think somebody who's not confident in themselves will see that they've done something wrong in this situation when they haven't. And so I like that she was able to be like, "You know what? I leave tapes. That's what I do. Like, these are my tapes." You
yeah,
listened. Like, I've done nothing to apologize for here. And I think she's somebody who would apologize if she felt like she needed to. And the fact that in this moment she's just
I feel
angry.
like she has apologized in the past when she didn't need to.
Yeah. I love that she doesn't hear.
Yeah,
You're right. I spoke too soon when I said through the rest of the episode because I think all the red dress stuff is not her best decision. But I this scene and that last
the
conversation
end
she has
scene.
with him when she ends it, I think
Yep,
are exactly what I would want people to take away from
yeah.
this.
And we'll get more to it during the last scene. But I'm just pointing out she uses some of the exact same language that I used for Ben in his breakup with Julie. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel so validated
Mm-hmm.
that the writers are like, yes, this is characteristic of his.
And for what it's worth, I also appreciate the overall message they gave us with how they handled like the red dress stuff. Because I know I'm skipping ahead. I'll say this quickly, we can come back to it. Like part of this as well is that they're the show seems to be telling us the list doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I like that that's the message that they're trying to send, especially to women of that age. So even though you may not love that Felicity tries it, she tries it and it fails. And it fails for Gretchen. The list doesn't work. It's like, at least in this episode, it doesn't, or at the show, it doesn't. So
Yeah. I
I,
like that that's the message. And I think in general, if you think of it from the perspective of, I think it's very different between Gretchen and Felicity, right? Gretchen gets dumped by Ian.
mm-hmm,
Felicity dumps Ben.
mm-hmm,
So really, the list was working, and Felicity comes, you know, she decides for herself that she's not going to change, and that I think is a good message. But I'm not 100% on that games, especially at this age, don't work, because moves and games and things like that are, they are part of relationships. There's a reason that, like, I'll just say, I was dating a guy and things were going really well. And he said, I love you way too soon. And I broke up with him.
mm-hmm,
Right. So he may have felt it, like, completely made sense for who he was, but he needed to keep that to himself.
mm-hmm,
Like, so sometimes you do have to figure out timing, and it is a game, and there's a little bit of that in there of feeling out the other person. And people say all the time, like, I don't play games, and I think at a certain age, that can be true, because you've had enough life
mm-hmm,
where you can just be honest and say stuff. But especially when you're young and you're getting into this, you know, different types of relationships, meeting different people, like all of this stuff, there is a level of making the other party comfortable
mm-hmm.
that is needed. And and there's also a part of, making sure that they're still interested in you.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be years and years down the line. And you may say, like, you shouldn't have to do that, but that's life. Like, if you're married to someone for like 20, 30 years, I'm guessing some games are getting played somewhere.
Yeah. I think I think the word games is a very broad term. And I think there's timing and then there's like compassionate, like thinking about when somebody or how somebody needs to hear something. Um, I don't respect people testing each other for any reason at any time.
I
So,
don't think it's as much testing as it is like reigniting a spark, or like, just generally helping to appreciate each other over time.
mhm,
Um, and sometimes it is fun with a game, you
mhm.
know?
Yeah, and that's why
Um,
I don't want to broadly say I don't like them. I think a lot of the ideas of games people play when they start dating in a strictly dating world, I'm like, that's why I don't do it because I hate the idea of it. So you're not going to ever find me in that setting because that would be the way to show me I don't want to be with you. But I know that it works for some people. I do think I think that a game can work if both people are wanting to play it.
mhm.
And I think that I would set a limit around like if there's a generalization that I can say that I think would be true more broadly, I think it would be for me like when it looks more like a test than a game, I'm out on that for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's not to say everybody is out on that. Like a lot of people let themselves get tested or test other people. And they're probably attracting people who are willing to be tested or test others. So
Yeah.
you get what you're looking for in that situation. Um, but I think that I like the way that this episode shows all this. It's not a surprise to me that Jennifer Levin's name is on this as the head writer. Um, this is giving messages that I would want women to pick up on, especially coming off of, where when we were looking back at season one, there were things like there were a lot of surprising moments for me thinking, oh, no, I thought going in like Noel's the nice guy. And then we heard Noel saying stuff that was like, ooh, this would be a red flag now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, and you were often like, well, this is kind of what maybe being a nice guy in the 90s might have looked like. It's like, okay, that could be true. And I'm glad we're coming as far as this to start showing, um, the way Felicity stands up for herself about Ben hearing the tape, the way, Gretchen tries the list and it doesn't work, even though it wasn't her that broke it off. It doesn't work. Felicity tries the list and it doesn't feel like it might be working for Ben, but Felicity is very clear with the audience. I feel terrible about doing this. I'm compromising myself. I'm not okay with doing that. And I'm going to break it off. And then the whole conversation she has with Ben to break it off, it's like, well, they gave us this, you know, in a in an episode that I'm going to say is probably iconic, between the red dress look, between Felicity going to the salon and cutting her hair. Like, there's stuff that happens in this episode that I think people would come back to this episode. Um, they'd pick it out of a lineup and be like, oh, I want to watch that one again. And the messages they left us with, I feel like was a gift.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see that. Absolutely. Um,
Although
so
we
we
do
are
need to get
at,
into the particulars around the party.
yeah, I was going to say, so we're
Um,
at that point where I think the next scene is where Megan is wearing that amazing pink dress.
okay. Okay. Could have
So
been.
if we're going to go back
I
and
have Felicity and Megan in my notes. So that might have been where she's wearing the pink dress.
I think she's wearing the pink dress here because I just put great outfit, but I often say that about Megan. So, but I noted there was an easel and no bike helmet, and I was super happy about that.
Great.
And Felicity decides we're doing the list. We're doing it.
Well, also, just before that, Felicity apologized to Megan for accusing her of listening to the tape. Turns out it was
Yeah,
Ben.
I know.
Megan does not let her off the mat for this.
No.
She's like, it was Ben. That's classic. You must feel so stupid. And then just walks out of the room. Like, oh, there's no
Love
compassion
her.
here. Yeah,
Love
that's
her.
classic. Yep,
Mm,
Megan.
that is Megan.
But you're right. Then Felicity decides she's going to use the list. She's going to give it a shot.
Hmm.
So what's she going to do, Fish?
Well, she's going to put on this red dress, and I don't know where she gets this red dress because in between deciding to do the list and putting on the red dress, it doesn't seem like there was time to go out and buy one. And I just can't imagine her owning this.
I can't imagine it either.
So, yeah. So I'm like, did you borrow it from Megan? Like,
It's maybe
it,
Elena.
Elena is exactly, I was just about to think, yeah, this looks like something Elena would wear. So somehow she gets this amazing red dress and she says to herself, all right, I'm going to do a couple of these things on the list. First, I got my high voltage look. I'm just lighting up the town in this dress.
Mm-hmm.
Second, I'm going to let him see me with someone else so he sees, what he's missing out on. Now, I could have gone to anyone and done this, but who am I going to go to? I'm going to go to the guy down the hall who wants to shower with me,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Berkey.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to just have ourselves a great time. She knocks on his door, just immediately comes out, face half slathered in shaving cream, and he is so ready. He's so ready.
Mm-hmm.
He does not mind at all.
Yep, being invited out to a party. Well, that was actually the first thing on the list. Go where the action is. But she's
Yeah.
like, this doesn't count. I was going to go to the party anyway.
So these are her initial steps.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to a nice little shot of what's going on with Sean, Tim, and then the whole scene.
Yeah, so we've set it up where everybody's now going to be at the party.
Hmm.
Which, well, yeah. So everybody's going to be at this party. And so now we're going to get a bunch of stuff happening at the party itself, which feels like an act of this play unto itself. And
It does. And I know we're going to get into the more substantive stuff, but I just want to say this is what a college party looks like.
yeah,
For all the people who didn't know, I mean, and this is a nice college party. It's not like most college parties, it's like a nice one. And I'm loving the chili pepper lights.
mm-hmm.
I love it. I love it. They hung them all over the place. That's perfect.
Yeah, yeah, there's that. And cover charges, that happens
It does. $10 is kind of steep.
a little bit. Julie's initial suggestion had been 5, but I guess somewhere along the way they upped it to 10. Tim
Which
thought he was
I did
getting
not
that fee
realize.
waived.
Yeah. And I didn't realize at the time that Sean had decided to up it. So I thought he was just charging Tim double.
Okay.
Everyone else,
Could have been either one. But
which I
Tim
thought was
thought he
funny.
was going to get in for free, and now he's got to cough up $10. And he's
Yeah.
like, but I know Julie. She's on. And Sean's like, and that's exactly why you're getting charged.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say any of that. He's eyeballing Tim, and he's not happy about it.
Yeah.
But then, Tim's at the party, Sean, Julie. One of the things that I always check is, so they had some pretty, I thought, decent party music. And I thought, okay, this song feels like it has so many different beats happening within it that everybody in the room surely will be dancing to this song. Like it will appear that there's no way not to be dancing to this song with all the stuff this song has going on. I was really confident. And then I spot checked and I started looking around the room when they actually showed us individual people dancing. And I was like, how is nobody dancing to this song? It's
Well,
so
it
funny
may
to me.
also not have been the original song.
Well, it
And
also a lot of times when there's when there's music happening, like a dancing scene or a party scene, they are actually in a silent room because the microphones need to pick up the voices and the things people are saying and not the music. And they put the
right.
music in after. So even if it's the original song, like chances are, from what I can tell, that the people in that room were dancing to nothing and all deciding to dance on different beats, none of which seemed to match up to the actual music selected, which I just funnily thought for sure everybody would have to be dancing to it because there was like many different ways that you could dance on beat.
Well, but
No.
how do you, I mean, that would have just been chance if they hadn't heard the music.
There, I think it happens a lot where it's like, okay, we're at a party, everybody, action, go, 5, 6, 7, 8, dance, and then everybody's like bopping around to nothing. They're in a
Yeah.
silent room, and then the camera is going to whoever's meant to be talking so that they can pick up that stuff on the mic. So these people probably experienced this scene as if there were no music and they were only hearing like Noel trying to pick up Bridget and stuff like that.
Right.
But
So, I mean, we can't really blame them.
you can't
Since,
blame them. But how
yeah.
have we never solved this problem? It's like in
Well,
all the
just put an
history of,
earbud in now.
yeah, uh, so upsetting.
Yeah.
Or get
Um,
somebody in the room on a different mic that's like, doons, doons, doons. Cut that person out and then just pick up the mic that Noel's on or something, like, I don't know. Again, I get upset about small things like people not eating food and people dancing to music that isn't there and then having the music not match. That's my
well, if
world.
we've had 3 different versions of a song too, it's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Which we will come back
I
to
can't
very
imagine they
shortly.
had, I mean, this was just like general party music initially. It was like your basic sort of like techno-y sort of,
Yeah,
it's a beat without anything else going on.
which I feel like would not have been what you played at a 90s party, but whatever.
I don't know.
Um, so all I'm going to say about this next part, so all I wrote, you're going to have to fill this in because I don't remember exactly what happened already.
Hmm.
Um, we've got Noel and Elena back together,
Mhm.
and Elena, all I wrote is the bossy intensity is back, and for Noel, just bad at this.
Okay. Those are your notes.
Those are my notes.
Okay. I mean that lines up. So Elena and Noel, and this is one of the things about this. It's like Noel, poor Noel. Like of all the places, is there no other forum where Noel can test out these skills than to go to Ben's apartment where he, as far as he knows, will see Ben and Felicity together. Like that's the party. There's not another party going on anywhere on campus
Well,
or
he
off
wasn't
campus.
going to go,
Yeah.
but Elena told him he was, so
Ugh.
now he is.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, just talk about setting this guy up for failure. But yeah, so they're at the party. They're kind of Noel's sort of cowering against the wall. Elena's like, "You go. You get a girl's name. You get that girl's name." They pick a girl out across the room, and Noel goes up to her, and the thing he thinks to say is, "Hey, you know where the keg is?" And they're literally standing in line right next to the keg. She's like the next person. It was a matter of feet away from him, and she's like, it's over here. And she points immediately next to her. So this is already not going well. And Noel's like, oh, okay. I'm Noel. Like, oh no. She's like, I'm Bridget. He's like, oh, Bridget. He's like, nope, Bridget with a D, no T. He's like, wow, okay. Nice to meet you, Bridget. And he just walks
Runs
away,
away.
not
Yeah.
having gotten anything out of the keg
Or the girl.
or the girl. And
But he got her name.
he walks away, and Elena just watches the whole thing transpire in dismay. She feels sorry for the guy. You can see the pity look on her face.
So the next piece, I have a huge issue here.
Okay.
The music. The
Yeah, they
music.
changed it to some sort
Oh,
of like
they changed it. They absolutely changed it.
oh, I don't know.
It was the music we were listening to was like, I don't know, like carnival music. I mean, it was so weird.
No, I want to say it was almost like
An ice cream truck. I mean,
I
it
was
was
thinking
stupid.
more like it wasn't samba, but it was something that was like felt like it had like a Latin American vibe to it.
Yeah,
Um,
but that was the original music. This music, it was just
no, I'm talking about this music that we
right.
heard.
I just heard it was just so not sexy. It was so unfortunate because Felicity has come in this banging red dress and
So I think
she
I'm just looking at it looks like in the original music it was
yeah,
Corazona Spinato by
by
Santana.
Santana. Yeah, I looked that up and I remember that song. And that song had this just killer guitar riff that it starts with.
Okay.
And it is so sexy and it is so hot.
Hmm.
And would be the perfect song,
Okay.
right? To put behind this red dress.
Okay.
But we got some weird, I don't know, carousel music.
No,
Like I don't know what to say.
it still felt to me that it had a Latin American vibe, and I'm trying to figure out what
But it was not
like what ballroom dance you'd hear
sexy.
that to. But it had a little bit more of like a Yeah, I mean, I think that Santana is going to be a different
Yeah.
scene than that.
No, this was some sort of like, I felt like it was childish. Like the music was childish.
Okay.
And it's so unfortunate because this scene would be so hot. And she's walking in with the dress, she's checking her heel out. We see Ben sitting on the stair, kind of a throwback to season one.
Mm.
And they pull in tight on his face. And
Are you
he is
thinking about the
just,
Halloween party?
yeah,
Okay,
where
yeah.
he was on the stair.
Well, and that's an interesting thing to think back to also because in that episode he
He's
was
making out with the pink Power
basically,
Ranger.
yeah, like before that party in that episode, he had been coming over at night, like showing up at her dorm room in the middle of the night to have conversations. Like he was definitely leaning on her. And then he invites her to the party and he's like, I might be Frankenstein. She's like, I'll be the bride of Frankenstein. And then um, she shows up that way. And when she first sees him on the stairs, he's not Frankenstein.
Yeah, and
And
he
he's
ignores
talking with all
her.
the guys and he ignores her. So you're
Yeah.
right. This is a really interesting reversal of like, he's on the stairs again, but this time he sees nothing but her in the room and he's all alone.
And it pulls in on his face. It's almost like he's mesmerized. And when he comes down, what's in her mind is, I have to be icily indifferent,
It's
which
one
is
of the
what
things on
he
the
was
list.
doing when they were at the party, the Halloween party. So
That's so
they've kind
interesting.
of reversed roles here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wrote games in all, caps there because I was like, you're playing, now you're just playing games. It's
Yeah.
like, but that's what he needed to pull him back in.
Yeah.
And she continues to play games and be really, I would say, dishonest with her feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it does pull him back in. It's exactly what he needed. So if her goal was just to get him, this is the way to do it.
Which just
But if
seems
her
to be,
goal
yeah.
is to be herself and be loved for that, which is hopefully where she ends here, this is not the way to do it.
And again, even though we don't necessarily want to see the level of Felicity stooping to using the list, even though she's gorgeous in her red dress, like I do think it's important that they're setting up here for us. She can have one or the other. She can be somebody else and have this relationship with Ben, or she can be herself and not have this relationship with Ben. Like it's like pick. But I like that they're making those stakes so very clear because it's like you're going to have to choose whether you want to be yourself or not. And they
Yeah.
don't let her off of the hook of that. And I think again, I think it's like, what message are they sending to a viewing audience of whatever decision you're making? Like Felicity is now going to walk us through how she's feeling. Like she gets to that party, she's looking great, and she wants to leave. And she's sitting there with Berkey, who's talking about feel America, whatever that
Yeah.
is.
And telling her he's going to be the president of the United States.
Yeah, I mean, this is what she has to do.
Yep.
Like she's not feeling good about herself in this situation. She's staying isolated and different. And yeah, now Ben wants to talk. But she doesn't feel good about it.
No,
And that's
she
where it
does
is.
not. Well, at that moment, she doesn't feel good about it. But, they're going to talk and they get in this really cool, what are they called? Freight elevators
Mm-hmm.
with one of the pull down sort of tops. And this is where we get to see that look on Noel's face, where his heart was broken
Oh.
into how many pieces was it?
Did I say a gazillion, billion, trillion?
Could be.
Something like
It was a
that.
lot.
It, here's Noel. He's gone to Ben's apartment for a party. He has absolutely no idea what's happening with Ben and Felicity. So, as far as he knows, they're happy and they're nice and they're good and they're swell. And he, at Ben's apartment, tries to introduce himself to Bridget at the keg, and he just crashes and burns. And then he looks, and there's Felicity in a red dress, and she and Ben are alone going up in the freight elevator up to the roof. And this poor guy.
Yeah, I wrote that he looks wrecked. And I think he does. He just looks absolutely wrecked, but he is getting her number. Bridget is giving him her number.
And he's totally zoned out.
Yeah, he's
and
gone.
So she shoves it into his stomach.
She's to like knock him and be like, "Hey,
take the freaking number."
Got my number. Like,
but the really funny part, and I will spoil this for you, that's not her number.
Yep, that tracks.
So, like, this is just such. I mean, Noel went to this party to just increase his misery. He doesn't know what's happening with Felicity and Ben, but that look on Scott Foley's face, it was like this million-mile stare that had everything he was thinking right there. And I couldn't help but feel for this guy. Because as much as he was just so, he was being exactly the amount of dick he needed to be in the last episode. But in this episode, in these quiet moments, he's hurting so bad.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know what to do about it.
Well, apparently he's going to try to dial a fake number.
That's what's going to happen. Yeah. Another thing that happened right before the next thing is Julie now needs Sean to distract Tim. She's like, Sean
kind of sucks.
Like, it's not working out with Tim. He's quoting Neil Diamond a lot. I can't with this guy. Please make him go away.
And Sean's like, goody.
Yeah, Sean's gonna do it. He's gonna ask Julie to watch the front, and he's gonna just go take Tim away and make him talk about guy things.
Yeah.
It's, so that's happening. And you might think to yourself, if you're Sean in this moment, I've got hope. It is not to be. But then we cut back up to the roof.
Yes, and I will say, I still don't think it's the original music, but at least the music here was decent. Like, I was good with this music for this scene.
This song was originally meant to be "Crash Into Me" by Dave Matthews Band, which is not what we heard, but it makes a lot of sense to me why they didn't get the rights to all these things.
Yeah.
They went big in the original episode.
They did.
For music. I think they also used a lot of music on both Dawson's Creek and on Felicity. So when they bought something, they just like used it everywhere. But yeah, we did not get to hear this scene with "Crash Into Me."
Which would have been better, but again, the music it didn't ruin the scene like it did with the red dress, or even though it was the original, the first kiss with Ben. So
I don't know if I like the choice of "Crash Into Me," to be honest with you, either.
I don't know that we need the lyrics, but the vibe of the song, I think, would have been okay.
Yeah.
It's got a nice, like, if you remove him singing.
If you just have the guitar the whole time.
Yeah, it's a nice song.
Like a little strumming. Well, okay.
And the music was soft anyway.
Yeah.
And it's sort of here's the thing. I get how tempting this is, because one of my big things is the way that a guy looks at me, and the way that he looks at her. I mean, he's got that down.
Yeah.
And, it's hard not to melt. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a great kiss. He's apologizing.
He apologizes about the tape.
Yeah.
Which, glad he came around on that.
Mm-hmm.
He's not.
She lets him off like way too easily, but at the same time, she's currently trying to get him to want her.
Mhm. And he's like the Mighty Mouse. The what was it? Not Mighty Mouse, Mighty Mart. That would be different if it was a Mighty Mouse picture. The picture of them at the Mighty Mart is great. Also, the picture of them with Mighty Mouse. So he's opening up with as many concessions as he can think to make.
Yeah.
But I do like in this scene. So he pulls her in and they're kissing and they spend most of the rest of the scene making out. But I do like that we're also getting this voiceover from her
Yeah.
where she's like, I mean, maybe it doesn't have to be a big deal. Like she's like thinking
No, no,
through it
no.
in her head.
What's in her head is one of the tips from the list, which
Mm-hmm.
is don't let him see you care.
Yeah.
And what she
Yeah.
says out loud is, maybe it doesn't have to be so intense. We can take it day by day with no expectations. And I just wrote no in all caps with a big exclamation point after it.
Yeah.
Because
She's saying all the things.
here's where she's lying. She is just straight up lying
Yeah.
to him.
And you can tell that even though she's saying this in a voiceover, it's not, like you said, it's the list. This is not
Yeah.
Felicity's thoughts. This is what Felicity thinks she has to think. And
Yeah.
and so, and then, they keep making out. And you kind of get a sense coming out of this that they could go on this way for as long as Felicity can manage it.
Yeah, but she's going to get so hurt. She is going to be in pain. It'll maybe go for, I don't know, generously, I will give them another 2 weeks. And then
Yeah.
she's going to start getting hurt. And then
Yeah.
it's just how much pain can she put up
But the
with?
ticking clock, I think, in this situation is how long can she do this? That's the ticking clock. It's not like this is just,
How
it's
long does she want
sustainable
to?
as long as she can sustain it. And that's exactly the question. How long does she want to? Because she's already not feeling pumped about having to take this approach, even at the party. She wanted to leave the party. She didn't want to have to hear
Yeah.
about Berkey feeling
Well, she
America
wanted to leave the
or
party before he starts sticking his tongue down her throat. She wants to leave the party. It seems like on the roof, maybe she doesn't want to leave so much.
but if that's what we were meant to be getting out of the scene on the roof, she could have said anything in that voiceover, right? It's like she says you have to remain isolated and different, or not isolated and different. You have to make them see that you don't care or something like that. Okay, but she could have been
Don't,
like,
yeah,
I
don't let him see you care.
like this is she could have been even inserting her own thoughts around that, like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. I've been dreaming of this, but like she doesn't give us any of that. She sounds very resigned to use of the list, and
Yeah, but I think what we're seeing here is her compromising herself
mm-hmm.
in order to be with him.
Yeah.
Because she wants to so much.
Yeah. But I don't think even in this scene on the roof that she's happy about it. Like, I think that she obviously wanted to leave the party before this, and maybe she's not ready to leave the party now that she is making out with Ben. But I don't think she's happy about the compromise that she's making even in this moment to have this kiss. So I don't know. I don't come away from
I
this
don't think
thinking she's stoked.
yeah. I don't think she's over the moon with it, but I also think she thinks it's worth it at this point in time,
Mm-hmm.
which she will reassess.
Yeah, she'll reassess. But yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. And then we get from this to Sean and Julie again. They made money. They made $1,400, split 2 ways. That's $700 each. And Julie's, very excited to see all this moolah. And
Yeah.
Sean's like, let's celebrate. Let's have dinner. And Julie's like, yeah, that sounds good, but not right now because I have a date. Or not tonight because I have a date. And Sean's like, what the hell? You kind of figure that the moment Sean took Tim and was distracting him, somebody else showed up at the party
Yeah.
that Julie had to take his payment. And like Sean removing himself from the front is what allowed Julie to meet this new person. It just that's what
Mm,
I imagine happened here.
getting
Ugh.
it?
But at the very least, it's not a guy from your human sexuality class, so that's not a double slap in the face. Ugh.
Well, we don't know. Maybe it's a different guy from that class.
Could be.
Yeah,
Oh man,
we
what
don't
a
know.
poor Sean. Poor Sean, poor Noel, poor a lot of people. So now that was kind of just a quick scene with Sean and Julie, but now we're going to get back to hearing Felicity. She's talking to Sally again on her tape. And she's saying, "Look, Sally, here's what I'm finding. Like, by not being me, I'm getting what I want."
I
And
wrote, this is not going to end well.
yeah, but she doesn't sound happy about that. She's saying, "This is again, this is the news, and the news isn't good." It's like, so here's what I've learned, and I don't love it. And so we're getting all of this as she's then like, but is she really getting what she wants? Because we see her packing up the lunch or the picnic for Bryant Park to finally go see that movie with Ben, and he stands her up. So she's relaying this to Sally, and we're seeing her sitting alone at Bryant Park, noticing everybody else paired up and coupled up and in groups, and she's eating a sandwich by herself on her little blanket. And
But is she? Is she eating a sandwich, Melissa?
seeing it, whoa,
Did I
seeing
notice it and you not?
she wasn't eating her sandwich. Dang it.
No, she like put it to her mouth and then she did some like very like
Sideways chewing
over
motions.
chew, but like she was overdoing the chewing of
Yeah,
what seemed like the tiniest possible potential touch on her lips of a sandwich.
I'm telling you, this is her move. And how many times did they even need to do that scene? Because there's no dialogue. She's just sitting there,
Yeah.
supposed to be eating a sandwich, looking at people. That's it.
Mhm. Yep.
Don't know how many times you need to get a take of that. But anyway, oh my goodness. Ah, just one type of food after another with this one. But anyway,
I really thought you'd have a bigger reaction to that. Wow.
golly. Yeah, somehow I didn't notice that one because I was just so sad for her. She just,
It was a sad non-eating of a sandwich. I mean, it was
yeah,
almost as sad as Ben actually eating the marzipan boxer. It wasn't as funny, but it was definitely a little sad.
yeah. But so this new idea of it's everything's not going to be a huge deal. So she's just gotten, she was stood up by Ben, and next day she sees him there. Is that Dean and DeLuca already? She's about to start her shift, and she's like, "Hey, yeah, I went to Bryant Park last night." He's like, "Oh man, I forgot." And she's like, "Yeah, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine." He's like, "Well, we'll go next week." She's like, "Nope, they're not doing it anymore. That was the last one for the summer, forever, for the rest of our lives, for the rest of our relationship." Like,
She does not say it like
she
that.
doesn't.
That's just how Melissa heard it.
But this
She
is the straw that
like
broke the camel's back.
well, I mean, she is really pushing her feelings down.
Yeah,
She's just like, that's okay. It's not a big deal. Well, we could go, but that was the last one for the summer. Like she is tamping those feelings way down.
she is. I was just noting that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. Um, I will say, and Fish. I'm not gonna spoil this all the way for you, but like Ben didn't forget.
Oh,
So I'm just gonna. He also is lying. Um,
wow.
so I'm not going to explain more than that, but
Okay. Just gonna
him
give me little bits here and there and just
him being like, I didn't care, I didn't remember, like that's not
not
accurate.
true. He was still, I mean, so I feel like that wasn't the moment that broke the camel's back for her. I do feel like she was feeling like the compromise was getting to her
Hmm.
and that she was changing too much. But I
Hmm.
really felt like it was the next scene with this, crying freshman doe-eyed girl, telling Felicity how she sees her, right? Gretchen's like, you would never compromise yourself. Like, you would never, do this for a guy. And for me, I felt
Okay.
like that was the moment where she was just like,
Yeah.
nope, I need to get some answers.
Could
And I
be.
kind of know
Yeah.
where this is going. I felt like she knew where it was going, but she wanted some answers.
Yeah, well, so and Gretchen comes to her crying because Ian dumped her. Ian just flat out dumped her, even after her
Yeah.
high voltage look, after after she tried everything on the list. You know, Ian still dumped her, and yeah, I think you know, um, Gretchen is like holding a mirror up to Felicity
Mhm.
through sharing her own problems. And the way that Felicity was talking to Gretchen at the start of this episode, like, yeah, I would never compromise myself. And now we've gotten to this point, and Felicity's like, oh, I did compromise myself.
Yep.
And I am still compromising myself. And then Gretchen's like, yeah, you'd never do this kind of thing. You're a stronger woman than that. You're great. You're awesome. And
Yep.
Felicity's like, dang it.
I am not.
I am not the role model I thought I was.
And I also I want to put like a strong line down here between the way we're using the word compromise
Mm-hmm.
and like the other meaning of compromise, right? Because you always want to compromise in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But compromising yourself, changing yourself, it being inauthentic is, well, I'm not even going to say it's not okay because some people do it and then they're together and then they start to grow together and they become, both parties become more similar. So sometimes it works out. Look, life isn't black or white. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I like that the message they're sending is people should love you for who you are, and you know, if they don't, they don't. And it's better to be yourself and to know your own self-worth than to change yourself for someone else.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. And I do think even the distinction that you're making between compromising who you are and making compromises in relationships. Yeah, I do think every relationship requires some amount of compromising, but I also think that there's limits there. Like I think you you set where that limit is. Everybody has to set where that limit is for themselves. But there may be things that are too much to ask for what you're willing to do. And I think there is probably where that line gets blurred is where it starts to change who you are. Um, but
Yeah.
I do think it's not like one or the other. I think there's sort of a spectrum to compromise, uh, and in either situation, I think however you define it, Felicity's felt like she's crossed those lines for herself here.
Yeah. I just think with any relationship, whether it's romantic or not, like I would never want to, you know, give advice or give, tell anyone that you never have to compromise.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you become so uncompromising and so rigid in, like, I'm just going to be who I am, screw everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
then, I think that's like too far the other way. Like, you
Yeah.
do have to care about other people, even if you are Megan. And she's
Yeah.
trying. Wicca Camp has helped.
Somewhat, yes. It's moved the needle a little. Um, so so with all of this coming to a head for Felicity, she goes, waits for Ben to come out of, was that class or work or where was he?
It looked like a bank. I don't
Yeah,
know
it looked
why
like a
I'm
really
thinking of.
official building.
Yeah, I don't even know how she knew he was there, but she blindsides him. She's like, "Ah, gotcha."
Yeah.
And
He's like,
he's
oh, what are you
like,
doing here? She's like, I'm waiting for you, is what I'm doing.
"You want to take a walk?" She's like, "No."
Yeah, and it's like also, if you put this scene at the start of season one, you'd be like, oh, this is creepy. That's not what it feels like here. She is determined.
Yeah.
She is, but when I say determined, one of the notes that I get from her in this scene is it feels like she's almost moving like underwater. There's like a slow sadness to her, but also a determined delivery. And for me, all of that coexists in her delivery of this scene. And it's like, these are the facts. This is what it is. I'm not happy about it. And this is still what has to happen. Um, like I find her unwavering, but there's a like an underlying hint of sadness with all of it. Not underlying, there's this sadness under all of it.
Yeah, I do feel like she has rehearsed this and she knows where this is going because it's too good to be off the cuff.
Yeah. She's
And
thought
it's
about what
just
she was going to say.
yeah, it's just unfortunate that she's right.
Yeah. And he doesn't fight her on any of it. So I didn't write down the whole speech, but I got a lot of the pieces of it that felt relevant to me. She says things like, I can't be with you like this. I can't compromise myself like that. Um, she talks about, she needs to feel things. She needs to get upset and talk about things. That's who I am. I can't change it. I don't want to.
And this is going back to what he had originally said about her, about, you're the kind of person who needs to talk about every little thing, right? So she's directly addressing the things that he said. She's saying you're right. Like I do need to be able to get upset and to talk about it and have my emotions, and that's who I am.
Yeah. And then she says, so this is like kind of all focused on her, but then she says, you knew that and you still pursued me because you want something from me. You just aren't strong enough to have it, which in a way makes you a coward.
And that is when I felt fully validated because how many times did I call Ben a coward last
Mm-hmm.
season?
Yeah.
This, I think, is one of his defining characteristics at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like emotional conflict, he runs away from it, and he forces the women in his life to break up with him
Mm-hmm.
or try to change themselves to
Mm-hmm.
be airy and breezy and not full humans who like need things from him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to like come down on our side because we're women and
Mm-hmm.
say like, oh, this is so horrible. And it's not a great characteristic to have, but if you're going to have it, I guess like your early 20s is when you have it. Like, he isn't ready for her.
But think about it too. I mean, so look at the role models he had for this growing up. You know,
Yeah.
his dad treated his mom and Ben horribly.
Yep.
And Ben's mom accepted it, lived with it, adjusted herself to be in that environment. And Ben wanted her to get out.
Yeah.
And he was seeing that she wasn't making the changes that were better for her. And so that's what he saw growing up. And now this is being sort of tested in college. He has having to live this out and see what this looks like. And I don't want to, I know it's not a spoiler free podcast, but I don't want to spoil everything for you. But I will say that like Ben's of all the characters, Ben might have maybe, and you can make an argument that Ben evolves the most in this series. I will see if that statement still holds up for me by the time we get to season 4. But I mean, I once described it that like Ben is eventually going to become 80-year-old man Ben.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he really does go on a journey here. And I think that the fact that this isn't such an open and shut case for him at this moment when Felicity walks away, like he is still looking at pictures of her, he
Yeah.
I just said this to you, we don't know this as an audience, but when he stood her up at Bryant Park, he wasn't just forgetting about her in that
He
moment.
was scared.
he's very scared, and she's calling him out and she's saying the truth. But when she says something like, you you knew that, you still pursued me because you want something with me, you just aren't strong enough to have it. You want something with me. That's true.
Yeah.
He does. You aren't strong enough to have it. Well, that's everybody's saying this to him now. Like, everybody's saying it and he's believing it.
Well, but it's the way she's saying it feels very validating for me
Mm-hmm.
because I have had this conversation with someone I was ending. I mean, basically, I had to break up with him,
Mm-hmm.
even though it was the other way around, right? Like, kind of the same situation as Julie was in, and frankly, Felicity's kind of in. But when I think of like we were much older,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, and he had a lot of time. Like we were living together, and so like he had a lot of time to figure it out. Um, but if we're talking about like a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, what she's saying to him is actually really harsh, saying like you're not strong enough to have it and you're a coward is
Mm-hmm.
very different than what Sean is saying, which is like, yeah, you're kind of an idiot. You're just not mature enough and ready enough to date the girl you're gonna marry.
Mm-hmm.
And you should get all that out of your system first, because this
Mm-hmm.
is not the time and you don't want to ruin this relationship for later.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is probably a huge blow to him.
Mm-hmm.
um and I fully understand his response, right? She's saying, one day you're going to regret it. You're going to want me, you're going to figure out how great I am, and I'm not going to be around,
That's going to be
and you're
too
going to be
late.
too late. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And he just
mean,
says, I don't know what to say, because on the one hand, she might be right about that last part, but also probably is a huge blow to him.
yeah.
He does want to be with her, and she's there calling basically his manhood into question, and his bravery and his, you know, everything.
Yeah. This absolutely lands differently than the breakup with Julie did. I mean, Julie was, in that it's like, oh yeah, it's tricky when you don't say those words, like she was saying stuff that also could have landed like in a way that stings. She was in some ways saying similar things, but Felicity goes deeper with it, and it lands deeper with Ben. Um, he
Yeah.
doesn't know what to say in response to this. He's not going to try to fight her on this. It's like, this is where we are. Um,
I mean, he also didn't try to fight Julie. I mean, it is a bit of a pattern with him that I hope he gets out of, because it's not a great thing to to be the kind of person who, I mean, I give him more credit this time because he was honest, and it was Felicity who was lying to him.
mhm.
And then she turns around and like chops his head off. With Julie, like he was the one who was, I mean, he did say, like, is it too heavy? She had a lot of emotions about them actually breaking up, but she was also dealing with him being a total dick to her,
Mhm.
which Ben is not doing here.
Yeah.
So I do feel the dynamic is different.
Yeah. And I mean, and this is me taking like my whole understanding of the show into it, but like, this is going to be a shock to his system,
Mm.
where the breakup with Julie was not. Like, it was like time to break up. It was like the writing has been on this wall for so many episodes now. They're not in a good place. They haven't been for a while. They don't either, neither of them seemed especially happy in the relationship for a long time. And the breakup was like a sigh of relief. It was like letting go of, for Ben anyway, it was like getting part of that weight off of his shoulders. And he immediately then pursues Felicity, um, or almost immediately. And so it was like, that was really not a shock to the system. That was more of a relief for him. This is a shock to the
But
system.
he still made Julie break up with herself, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. But the impact to Ben qualitatively
Yeah.
is going to be very different between these two breakups, regardless of who initiated it. Ben was not, although he was making all the moves of a person who was ready to be broken up with, he was not really 100% behind the idea that breaking up was the right thing to do.
No. And that, but I think it was. I think it was the right thing to do. I think if they had kept dating, this just, you know, would have, it just would have gone badly for longer.
Yeah, sure. We can think that as audience members with all the information that we have, especially seeing his behavior with the other people throughout the series, like throughout season one. Um, but he is not convinced that this breakup was good, like a good thing, or that him pulling away from Felicity was a good thing. He
Well,
hasn't been at any
that's,
point in this episode or the last one because he is in every conversation with Sean. He pursued the conversation with Sean, so he's wondering, he wants the advice, but he's also like, I don't know, man, is this right? Like
he was
he
pretty
got that
convinced
push and pull.
in, yeah, he was pretty convinced in the conversation where he told Felicity, like, I'm not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That conversation, he laid out the things about her that
Yeah.
he was not ready to deal with
And then
and
right on the back
accepted
of
that.
that, he's looking at pictures of her and he's wondering if he made a mistake, and he's like, you know, and you could say part of that is like mourning the loss of a relationship, even if you think it was the right thing to lose. But he was even if he was 90% sure this was the right thing to do, he wasn't 100. I think at any point. I think that the speech he gives Felicity just before he tells her, listen to your tape, was Sean talking through him. And
Mm,
he believes what Sean's saying, and he doesn't want to hurt Felicity. And Sean's saying, you stick with this, you're going to hurt Felicity. And he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be that guy. And I guess in a way, I wonder if Sean's saying, you're going to hurt Felicity, I wonder if that made him think about his dad. Is that too much of a stretch?
I don't think so. I mean, he's not that far removed from them, his parents.
Yeah, I'm just working that out as I'm thinking. So, like, if Sean's saying to him, yeah, you may want this relationship, but that's selfish, dude, because you are going to hurt her. I wonder if that would land in a way that's like, oh wow, my dad's been hurting my mom. Like,
Yeah.
like, I never thought about it that way, but that might have been the most effective way for Sean to get through to him.
I mean, I don't know that Sean's that perceptive that he would
Yeah.
have picked up on that, but I definitely think Sean has been there to watch everything that's happened so far,
Hmm.
and he and Ben are pretty close at this point.
Hmm.
And you know, he sees what's going on. I I don't think that it was Sean speaking through Ben, because Ben does specifically say, like, here are the things that I can't deal with. Like,
Hmm.
basically, I'm not in love with you.
Hmm.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
Um, and he's not. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's, he can change. He can become more mature. He can become more ready. They can try again, whatever. But at this point in time, I think, he kind of took his lumps, and but I don't think it was wrong that it ended.
Hmm. Well, I now, Felicity is trying to decide. Maybe I'll slip in my note from an optimist here before we wrap up the episode. Um, because I I have said this, so this is just putting a finer point on it. Standing up for yourself. That is my note from an optimist here. We're seeing an example of, like you said, like if you are at a point when to be in any sort of relationship, any relationship at all, under any dynamic where you have to be a completely different person or compromise your value system or compromise how you want to exist on the planet, um, in order to satisfy another person to maintain the status quo. There's going to be a pretty heavy price to pay with that, even in the scenario, even if you want to have no conflict and maintain that status quo, there's going to be a major price to pay for yourself. And I'm a believer that finding a way to stand up for that part of yourself that's being so deeply compromised is important, because you'll never get that part back unless you do it. So to see this happen through Felicity here means a lot to me. And I hope that it meant a lot to people who watched it at the time, because they've really laid out the stakes in this episode. It's like she cannot be herself to be in this relationship at this time. And she's choosing to be herself and hoping that if there's a relationship on the other side of this with anybody, it's going to be them liking her for who she is. You know, the things that she describes to Gretchen is what she's going after for herself now. And I'm just glad we saw that here.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree that it is great that she makes the final decision to be herself and has a conversation with Ben where she says that, this is the person. I mean, this first part of the conversation she has with him, she says, I need to be this, I need to be emotional, I need to get upset, I need to talk, all of that. And I don't want to change. Mm-hmm. I think, I want to give that an award for just bravery.
Yeah.
I think in the next part, however, she isn't taking enough responsibility for what she did and the decision she made before this with the red dress and pulling him back in. Mm-hmm. And I think she comes down on him really, really hard, which I totally did when he did his stuff with Julie. I think in part because I could tell he wasn't emotionally invested and he wasn't the one getting hurt. Mm-hmm. But here it lands differently. You're right, because I feel like this does hurt him. Mm-hmm.
Does. Yeah. And, I would say this is the part of what she's saying that is the first part of what she's saying is about herself. The second part of what she's saying is about him. And I think with that part, there's probably a little more anger in there.
Yeah.
At this point, because he didn't make her change. She chose to do it. But he was creating a dynamic where she had to make that choice and she's not happy about it. And so I think
it's just life.
Yeah. And so I think there's probably, this is still so fresh. I'm sure that some of this calling him that in a way makes you a coward. A word like that feels like it's got a little bit of that. I need this to land because he mm-hmm. needs to hurt too. Yeah. And so I certainly think there's that element here. And she also doesn't linger a long time in the name calling of it all. I think she's saying these are the things that I'm seeing and I have to step away. And the point taken, if she did practice that speech, she delivered it, right? She got it all out there. And I don't feel like later in this season, she's going to be like, I wish I would have said these things. I think this is the stuff she wanted to say. And then
it's very well written. It certainly lands on multiple levels.
Yeah.
You can feel the knife going in.
But then we move from that to her again with the voiceover.
It was a lot of her voiceover in
talking to dang it, Sally, just answer this woman. She's saying how it's time to let go, it's time to move on. We're watching her as she's talking put the necklace away the Ben necklace. So she's saying all this, are there things about me I can give up, stuff like that. She dots the I's and crosses the T's here. She apologized to Berkey for using him. Berkey is like, use me anytime. Totally fine.
Yep. Totally cool with
Uh,
it. And I'm just saying, again, in this scene, beautiful like stand, those candles that came together, that shaped mirror. I mean, she's got style now. I don't know when that changed.
and then she goes to Astor Place hairstylist.
Now, you're going to have to explain this to me because this is the biggest mystery in the world to me.
Whoa.
All right. So she's going to cut her hair. We all know it was a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I'm doing it for myself
Okay.
because I don't want to change and I want to let go and fall. And I'm like, none of these things are reasons for you to cut your hair. Letting go and falling, what? Like, where did that even come from? What are you letting go of and falling into?
Mm-hmm.
And you just made this whole statement about how you don't want to change. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and you're cool being you. And now you're going to go and have this like huge change. Like, I didn't remember this scene the way that it is. I thought there was some, like, I thought her and Ben had dated for like a while and there was this huge traumatic breakup and she just needed to change something and sort of out of desperation, it was her hair. That is not at all what happened here.
Well, I mean, on the what happens to every other human scale, I think it's not at all unheard of to have like a post breakup haircut. And what is it that
Sure.
people are seeking in that moment? I mean, I think that you're looking for a fresh start, and I don't
But
necessarily
again,
see this choice as her saying, because she did just come off of saying to Ben, I don't want to change me. Changing her hair
yeah.
doesn't change her. Changing her hair is changing her hair.
But
But
why is she looking to change? She's like, I'm doing it for me, but they never explain why. The only thing they give you is she starts walking down the street and she's
mhm,
like, I'm gonna let go and fall, which makes
yeah.
no sense.
So
And then she's like, I'm gonna do it for me. And then she gets a haircut. I'm like,
yeah.
why?
Well,
Why?
I think I mean, so I'm not going to try to sit here and say that wasn't badly written. So maybe it was just badly written, right? So, but here's what I take away from that scene, regardless of what was written. She is not changing her hair to attract a guy.
Yeah.
Um, what she's doing, though, I see it that she's sort of marking this moment in her life. She is maybe trying to live into the confidence that you would think she had before she just had this conversation with Ben. But I think that her, when you think about what just happened, he was a god for her in the pilot episode, basically. She barely knew him, but she had this whole impression of him. And she finds out where he's going to college. She moves there too. And Ben was mythic. Ben was more than a guy. And then at some point along the way, Ben became a guy. That was in season one still, but she just dumped his butt. Like, she was like, for me to be with you, I have to be somebody else, and I'm not going to do it. I'm better than this. And I think that this is sort of like marking the moment. And it
Like she could have gotten a tattoo.
she could have done probably anything to mark the moment. I don't see her as being a tattoo person. Um, I think, a haircut was an option, probably a lot of options, but I think whatever she could have done that would have like made her feel and like be a reminder to her of this new phase that she's still her, but she's stepping into a brand new phase where
Just such
she,
a weird thing to do from my perspective of because I don't know, maybe it's just like If I'm
I
gonna
don't
do a
think it's uncommon
drastic,
for people to get a haircut when they're after they and change their look after they've broken up with somebody. I think that's
yeah,
pretty common.
but usually that's kind of a, I don't want to feel like the same person.
Hmm.
And what you said before, like the new start, but it seemed like she was just standing up for herself. She didn't need a new haircut.
She felt she did.
I
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
don't
it's kind of
understand
a
why.
like I don't necessarily think that the writing, like the words that they gave her, make a lot of sense. I think it's a little too metaphorical to like to match my impression of what happened. So maybe my impression of it is wrong. But when I think about this, it's not that she's changing who she is. She's not trying to change who she is. She was trying to stay who she is in the fact that she just broke up. She's also entered a brand new phase of her life, as far as I'm concerned, where um, like Ben and Noel are not a factor in the most way they possibly could be, right? Like for this moment, even though they're all still on the show. Um, like this is the first time that she's been sort of free from the constraints of what those relationships in her life could mean, whatever form they were in. She's kind of sans guy right now in every possible way. So
I guess I
it's
feel like she just had this huge empowering moment,
mhm.
which would not necessitate her then needing the haircut. But I don't know. I guess people do it for all kinds of reasons. I cut my hair like once every 3 years, so I don't
Yeah,
really
I don't cut
understand the
my hair very often either,
significance.
but I think that this is something that happens a lot where it reinforces a powerful moment or it sparks a powerful moment. Like I think people very often get haircuts for
I
reasons
think
like
of
this.
it, well, I think of it more as like if you got dumped and you don't want to think about it and you want a change and a fresh, like that part I get. Or like if you want a new position, but not usually like if you just got promoted, now I'm going to get the haircut. It's you get the haircut in order to go for the interview. I don't know. I just feel like it's a little reversed for me, but you know
Well, there's
what?
a thing that she says earlier where she says that the compromise is getting to her. Can she give things? Are there things that she can give up and still be herself? So when I think about that line, okay, are there things she can give up and still be herself? Can she still give up Ben and be herself? Can she still give up her hair and be herself? I think that she's trying to figure out at what point she's still her. And
Yeah, they needed to underline this a lot more then. She needed to talk about her hair and her what it meant to her identity or something.
yeah, could be. Yeah, I'm not saying that this is like well written. It's only just how I would interpret it. But I think there might be an answer in that one line. Can she give, are there things she can give up and still be herself? Maybe that's where they needed to expand upon it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
but
just find it
so
confusing.
this
But
is,
this is what
going to
she wanted
be,
to do, so she did it, and it was done.
yeah. And so we see the silhouette of her as her hair is getting cut. And so we know next time we see her,
It's
it's going to
coming.
be the epic, the epic haircut heard around the universe. Gosh, which we can talk about then. I think we just know what's happening now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are all my main notes from the episode. Um, but I think you have some entries for the "What the Glove Did They Say" segment.
Joe, do you want to explain the segment?
Well, sure. I mean, I don't know if I need to explain it every time, but now that we're kind of back into season two, but we'll just do a quick reminder. This is a chance to see, we know fish talks in globs.
Mhm.
And so we thought, wouldn't
Oh,
it be fun to do an unnecessary censorship sort of a game here, where it's like maybe there are some lines from the episode that let you use your imagination more if you insert a glove instead of an important word. But Fish is always looking for those good lines. And I think you have a couple from this episode.
I do. Now, the first one is really more of just just think about it a little bit more. There's not actually a change in the glove, but there's an implied glove.
Oh.
So this is between Elena and Noel
Uh-huh.
when she's making him feel less than, well, manly.
Okay.
And she says, "Come on, tell me. No. Is it more or less than 10?" I'm not answering that. And then she giggles. "It's less than 10. That's adorable." Gosh, what else could she be talking about, Melissa?
Dead rabbits.
That is, you're never going to be a good person to play this game with.
No. How about staplers?
Less than 10 staplers. 10 staplers would be a lot to handle.
Mhm.
One stapler is probably good.
Yeah. What's the point? Why do you need 10 staplers?
Yeah, you probably don't. Probably don't need 10 staplers.
You just need one stapler with 10 staples.
Why? What?
To equate to having 10 staplers.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hope that the rest of the audience felt my implied glove there.
Yeah.
And
I'm always going to take you off the grid.
Yep. Yep. It's always going to be hot dead rabbits.
Or staplers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this one has the actual gloves in it. And this is my number one. And this is where Felicity and Megan are arguing over, well, who's more intense.
Mm-hmm.
So Felicity says, "It would be like me, your box, okay?" Megan, "Wait, you my box?" "I was making an analogy." "Fine, but I didn't your damn. But if that's the way you're going to be, whip it out." "What? You think it compares to my box? Prove it. You let me your and I'll let you my box, and then we'll know which one is more intense." Yeah.
Can't unhear that. Oh, Megan's always good for a glove.
I mean, I think so.
Mm-hmm. We're going to need more and more lines from her over time. Gosh. Wow. Well, that was the "What the Club Did They Say" segment. Again, a new key. Always a surprise.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Oh boy. Yes. Well, I have a little bit of feedback that I wanted to share. One is very quick.
Yeah.
And is more of just like letting off steam. This one is from Instagram. This is from @LulabelleRocks.
Nice. I love that name.
She just has a rhetorical question here for us to ponder. Okay. Why the hell did Sean sabotage the relationship in season 2, episode 2? That's it. Look, LulabelleRocks. We've talked about this in different angles.
We have talked about this.
But I wanted to make sure you've been heard.
Yes. And Melissa has been, kind of saying the same thing. Like, she has complicated feelings about Sean.
I have complicated feelings about Sean. Is he probably accurate? Yeah. Why?
I get it. Like, I get it. It's kind of the way that I feel about the music, right? It's like, what we want as an audience is to see the two of them together, right? And for it to be hot and amazing and electric. Mm-hmm. But they're giving us real life, which kind of blows. So I'm just saying, like, it's the way I feel with the music when I'm like, I want this kiss or this dress or whatever to be really hot. And then they give me this kind of blah music that ruins it.
Hmm.
Sean is the blah music.
Okay. Okay.
He's not wrong. He's still
Fair
music.
enough. Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just blah.
And if you are somebody who was really gung ho Ben Felicity at this time, you probably have complex feelings around this. And maybe you don't. And maybe what Bell Rock said is all you need. You just need people to shout into the wind, why the hell did Sean sabotage the relationship in season 2, episode 2? And that's enough. You know, we can release it. We can let go of it and see if we're still us.
We can all go cut our hair.
Yeah, that's how we'll do it. Gosh. But I also wanted to read something from at Disneyland on Instagram.
Nice.
This person says, I spent 4 months straight watching Felicity 24/7 during the pandemic. I've owned all seasons on DVD as soon as they were released. And my old MySpace had the speech she gave to Ben before the haircut. I had to watch it so many times to write it out. It's gotten me through many, and then I think we missed a word here. When I'm struggling, I start from the episode before the haircut and go from there.
It's a very empowering time.
Yeah.
I mean it I think it's probably very easy to not think about Ben, and it is a very like girl power moment, and especially at a time when what they are highlighting, all this stuff with, Cosmo and all the other, things that make us insecure and what we should wear, and we don't all look like Harry Russell. Like, it is a very empowering moment. And I think if that's what you take away from it, that's great. We're going way beyond like a first, just first impression of episodes and thinking about stuff. But if that's what you're taking away, like more power to you.
Yeah. I mean, if this is a symbol of that for you, great.
Yeah.
You know, I, I'm so happy that it could be seen in this way,
Hmm.
especially for something that came out in 1999.
Yeah.
When, like I said, when we watched back season 1, there were some things from some of those characters that they were saying. It was like, oh, that doesn't play as well now. This
Mhm.
is the answer to that, I think.
I mean, I think it is on the surface. Um, but I think if we do take that step beyond and think about Ben in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
that and taking personal accountability on Felicity's side for her own actions, and recognize that while it is a very empowering speech, it's not 100% true,
Mm-hmm.
um, and does hurt him.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
that's just a step beyond,
but they
right?
go as far as, so she's not hiding it. Her speech to Ben is pithy, and it says the things that she wanted to communicate, and that's that. She doesn't in that speech say, you know what, I wore the red dress, I led you on, blah blah blah. She doesn't say those things, but I think that in how she's phrasing it, let me actually go back to my notes on that. Um, I can't be with you like this. I can't compromise myself like that. There's an anymore there. There's like a, she's been doing it. And I think that is an acknowledgement that she has been changing herself and she won't do it anymore. That's as far as she gets with that as Ben
But it's
in the
still an
conversation with
accusation.
Ben. But I think
It's not.
yeah, but she has been the whole episode saying to us, the viewers, I'm doing these things, I'm trying it, I don't feel good about it. Is this like, can I do this? Like, so she is giving us all of that. She hasn't given it all to Ben.
Yeah.
So at least they gave that much to us. And I think they needed to get whatever point they were trying to get across. But
I agree.
yeah, so I don't know, it's kind of interesting. But let's rate this episode. I'm really curious where you're going to come in on this. I'm not sure what I'm gathering from you on which way you want to go with it. So, what are your thoughts on the overall rating for this episode?
Yeah, I have complicated feelings. I am ambivalent. Um, because on the one hand, it is such a satisfying episode. um, just from what Felicity says. Um, plus we get to see the red dress, plus there's great kissing. It's also seemingly an ending before I think really any of us wanted to see this end. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
reason that it's ending for the show, and
Hmm.
I don't think Sean is wrong, but they could have written this differently. They could have written it where Ben was ready, or Felicity does get hurt, right?
Hmm.
But at least we would have been able to see them together.
Or play it out over 4 episodes instead of 1.5.
Yes.
Yeah, lots of angles that it could have taken here.
Yeah. And I do like the talks, that Ben and Felicity have. And I have to give some extra points for the chili pepper lights. Um, I mean, but then I was so confused by the hair.
Okay.
So
You're
confused
not
by the hair.
alone.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a lot of people say they're confused by the hair, but I think a lot of people hated it.
Yeah. I mean, I do think she looks beautiful with short hair and with her hair up, which I haven't said before now because I wanted to acknowledge that they were trying to make her look bad. And the point I was trying to make in the earlier seasons is here's the shot where they're trying to make her look bad,
Hmm.
even though she doesn't because she's gorgeous.
Hmm.
So I don't have any problem with it from an aesthetic perspective, just from a why.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
but I think overall, the real problem with me is my rating of this episode, I think, will depend a lot on what happens in the next few episodes.
Mm.
So I'm going to give it a temporary rating.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So I am going to temporarily give this a 9. But if all
Cool.
this falls apart, then it's going to get dinged back down to like a 7.
Hmm. I didn't know that you were going to come in that high with it. I think I have a feeling you'll probably keep your rating there, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um like, do I think it's going to fall apart from here from the direction she just headed? No, but I don't know. I will see what you think.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll share my rating. So, first of all, I am rating this episode in the unit of measurement of high voltage looks.
Yay.
And I am putting this one at an 8.7 out of 10.
Okay, so we're close.
Yeah, I like this episode. I again, as I promised in the last episode, I put away the convenience
Yeah.
element that they had in getting people into where they are now. And I said, here's where they are now. And now I will continue to watch this season moving from where we are. So this is where we are. And this episode fits squarely within that.
Okay.
Um, I certainly like this episode. I think that it's a strong episode in terms of how they're dealing with the story. They may not have had as many humorous moments to it, but I think they shared a lot of important stuff. They showed us a lot of important relationship building between different characters. They let us have a breather from some of the really overpowering tensions that we felt coming back in season 2. And they let us see these people have some different experiences without that tension for a minute, specifically with Noel and Julie.
Mhm.
So I like that they're kind of layering that back in. While I probably didn't at the time love the fact that Ben and Felicity's relationship ended so early, I like the messages that they chose to send here. It makes a lot of sense to me that there was a woman writer at the helm, somebody who knew the show very well, that we've seen have the head writing credit in so many episodes to this point. Not to say that she is the only writer on the episode, but you would assume that that person is really like doing like the fun, they're sort of the linchpin of the operation for this episode. Um, I think that I'm very glad with some of the messages they gave us in this episode, and I feel like this would be, if I had a kid, which I don't, but I feel like if you're somebody who's going to have conversations, important conversations with your kids on the back of movies or TV, I feel like this would be one that sparks some important conversations. Um, in a way that is not how they all were always doing it in season one, where we got a lot of PSA style episodes. It's like, let's
Yeah.
talk about sex ed. And then you get Felicity going through the whole gamut. We're now in the story. We're in the story, and it still gives you a backdrop for things to discuss. So, and I also think that this is an episode where every single person watching it can layer into it their own experiences and feel completely differently about the show, or this particular episode, anyway. So I think there's a lot of depth to this. Of course, dang it, Sally, get back to this human. What does she need to do? She's floundering. Like, she's in pain, this woman. Answer her, damn it. It gets a little dinged for that. But yeah, do I put this at a 10? No. But, and like that, there's some little moments that are, it's like, what was this exactly that we're doing here? But I do really like this episode. So, and I think it holds up pretty well.
Okay. I agree. I mean, I really should dang it a bit more for the music, but I went back and listened to the original music, and I'm just pretending that that was the music.
Okay, that seems fair. Yeah. All right, then. Well, look, we would love to hear your feedback too, everybody. So this, I think this is an episode where you can have a lot of your own experiences that you bring into it. For example, have you had haircuts at important moments, and why did you choose them? Like, have you, how did you take the breakup conversation? Gosh, there's so many really, you know, how do you feel about the stuff happening between Noel and Elena? Like, like that whole dynamic that they've set up. I don't know. I'd be curious. There's so many things we talked about here that I'd love to get other people's feedback on. Not that I don't love you, Fish. But we want to hear from you too. So send us your feedback or Felicity fan art or whatever at themelissafish@gmail.com. Melissa with one L, two S's, themelissafish@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram at Felicity Podcast. Tons of cool people hanging out over there talking about the show. And then if you want to be informed when we drop a new episode of the podcast, we have a newsletter you can sign up for. Just go into your show notes of wherever you're listening to this podcast, and you'll find a link to sign up for the newsletter so that you'll always know when we drop one.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask. I mean, it's been over a season, and maybe everybody else knows this, but what are show notes and where can you find them?
Yeah, so show notes is basically wherever you're listening to your podcast and there's a description of what we're talking about, at the bottom we have some links. We have a link to the Instagram account that we manage. We also have a link that goes straight to a sign up page on MailChimp. So wherever you're listening to this, just like maximize the window if you can, and look for that, because you'll be able to access it there. Yeah, that's what show notes are.
Great.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And if you're wondering what the next episode is going to be, it's going to be called Ancient History.
Oh.
What do you think that one's about, Fish?
Ancient history. See, we've already had Tom Mulcahy come up, and we've already had Hannah. So I feel like it's not a relationship thing. So I am going to assume it is, I don't know, Felicity decides to take an Egyptology course and falls in love with a sexy mummy.
Hey, well, we'll just see. We're gonna wait and see if
Yeah.
all that happens in episode 3.
I mean, I'm going to be floored if I'm right.
I mean, at some point,
But
they need to
hey,
get this
who
girl in the
knows?
classroom, right? She's at school, but hey, that's
It would
fine.
be nice. Yeah.
Okay, so we're just marking it. You heard it here first. Okay, Egyptology
That,
class. She falls in love with the sexy mummy.
yeah.
That's the move.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be an interesting. Like, how did they get there in a writer's room? I don't know, but that's the prediction. Awesome. Okay, so was there anything else you wanted to say about this one, Fish, before we wrap up?
Nope. Think we have done a good job.
We made it. So yeah, okay. Until next time, Fish, don't hook up with Ben while I'm gone.
I'm a fish.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.